Yes. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Argonauts, to a stream on a Tuesday. It is July 18th, and I hate to say this, but I think we can officially say we have reached midsummer. I am not pleased that I have to bring you this information that we are already at midsummer, but we are, in fact, I think, officially in midsummer. But that means we have a whole half of the summer left, so it's all good. And it's good to see everybody. I hope everyone is doing well. Welcome to day 8 of Shire Adventures. This is Lord of the Rings role-playing Shire Adventures. We are sponsored, as always, by Free League Publishing. Thank you so much to Free League, and I have big news about their sponsorship relating to a new thing you'll be able to find, which I will talk about in just a moment. But before we get there, ways to support the channel. If you have not done so already, please follow the channel. That is always appreciated. If you haven't done so already, also hi to Big Boss Dragon Spear and Chaotix, by the way. If you have not done so already, please subscribe to us here on the channel. Please, I'll get to subscriptions in a minute. Do that, but that's not what I meant to say. I meant to say follow the channel. I also meant to say check out our YouTube at !arvtube.com. Please follow me over there. !arvcord is the Discord channel where you can hang out with the Arvanauts in between streams. Please join us over there. Please as well join us on my Twitter, which is !arvtweets, and on Blue Sky, which is !arvsky. And the website for all of this is arvaneleron.com, and more about that in just a moment. The other thing I want to mention is, of course, on the financial side, !arvtreon is the Patreon, currently sitting with 18 patrons, $149 a month. Really does make a big difference if people are able to support us on that, because you can get stuff for you and also stuff for the channel as a whole, and you can get stuff that you can't necessarily get just through subscriptions. So the Patreon support would really be appreciated if you folks are able to do that, so please consider that. If you haven't done so already, please consider as well subbing to the channel. This is where I wanted to talk about the subbing part. Subbing to the channel, which allows you to get those custom sub badges and emotes to use here, there, and everywhere across Twitch, and that also lets you will let you inspire our players. That's the word I was looking for. You can get inspirations to help our players both there and on our Patreon, which really does make a difference and helps with all of the campaigns that we run. So please consider doing that by subbing to the channel. Publishing, Icarus, my graphic novel from Athos Arts. Library is my Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library. That's my 5e adventure and sourcebook from Alligator Alley Entertainment. And Greyshade. Very excited about this because my book Renegade, which I can talk about right here. It's a little small right now, but what if I were to, wait a second, it's a little small at the moment. Get out of studio mode. Okay, it's a little small at the moment, but what if I did that? There we go. That book is coming out in 1 week, is the official release date on July 25th. There will be an event on July 29th, which will be at BlackRock Books. I'm very excited about that. Renegade is the sequel to my award-winning dark fantasy Greyshade, which came out last year. Renegade is due out next week, and you can pre-order that book and Heretic, the final book in the series, which I'm working on as we speak, which is coming out next year, plus the tabletop role-playing game from Brandon O'Brien and Alligator Alley Entertainment of Greyshade, plus the audiobook by Trent Sparks of Greyshade. All those are available at that Greyshade link, so please do that. Pre-orders are love, pre-orders are life, and please spread the word and let people know. Kind of a big deal in my publishing world, so please do that if you can. That would be much appreciated. And again, that's with Greyshade. Finally, BLM, Black Lives Matter, important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. Help Now, the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Important to reach out to others when you need help and reach out to others when they need help as well. And Ukraine, UKRAINE, to help the people of Ukraine as they fight back against an illegal and illegitimate war with bravery and courage, and send the message that we will do so for others as well. Now, quick note about the publication of Free League Publishing support of our show and of Shire Adventures. If you go over to the website, which you can find at arvaneleron.com, as previously mentioned, that is what the website looks like. And if you click on, right now we have the Infinity and Beyond podcast up here. And if you were to click on that, you would see that it shows you right here the members of the Infinity and Beyond crew. That's got another, doing Curse of Strahd, and that right now probably has another 8 months or so, maybe 6-7 months actually, before the audio of Curse of Strahd is complete. That's been running all the way along. But on top now, we also have, what is this? Shire Adventures. We finally have our page up and rolling. And if you look up here, you can see that we have our 4 players, Amal, Brad, Tari, and Tren are here along with their bios. And down below, there will soon be, there's nothing there right now, but there is going to be within the next few days, the actual podcast episodes. So if you missed any of these podcasts, and if you're like, man, I'd like to show people the audio versions of these that they saw, you can find Shire Adventures, of course, on our YouTube channel, but also you will be able to find it having been propagated to Google Play, to Apple Music, and to everywhere fine podcasts are sold. So we are adding another audio podcast to the mix. To go along with Infinity and Beyond podcast is the Shire Adventures podcast, and I am very excited about that. You can see a little bit of Tari's work right behind there. You can see that and all that stuff. So very, very cool. Very excited for this. And again, you can find that. If you're curious, it's arvineleron.com/Shire-Adventures. That would allow you to come over to that page to find it. But that is where you can find it over on arvineleron.com. So I wanted to show everyone that and let those folks know. But now it is time to get started with our amazing crew. So I will unmute myself and apologize for anyone I'm interrupting because I can't hear who they are that they're speaking. And then I'm going to unmute them. And last but certainly not least, I'm going to reveal them as they are now here and on your screens, and they are ready to go. It is good to see the Shire Adventures crew ready for a fellowship phase, which we will discuss in just a minute. But first, I want to start on the top left. And oh my goodness, I immediately get a sub from Shadowed Mage. A transformer goes to perform at a comedy club. I just turned into a car for the first time, and boy, are my arms tires. Well done, Shadowed. Good work. Very well done. That's good stuff. Thank you, Shadowed. Thank you so much for the resub. And it's good to see the Shire Adventures crew. I want to make sure we move through this quickly so we can get to the adventure itself. But I will start, as always, on the top left of our little square here, of our Hollywood squares, with Amal, who has been talking to us about how wonderful it is to deal with all kinds of bureaucracies, basically, I think is the way I would describe that. How are you doing, Mal? How's life in the universe with you, and who are you playing today?
I am doing all right, thank you. I'm sorry I have lost my Zoom window as I tried to open the Twitch window, which I forgot about. Hey, here we go. Yes, hooray. I'm doing great. Bit of a resurgence of the wildfire smoke here. We had a tornado recently also. Yeah. No, I will accept your enthusiasm for our normal climate thunderstorms. I will not accept it for tornadoes. I'm sorry. I think this area has had, in my lifetime, like 4 tornadoes, and 3 of them were in the last 5 years because climate's changing. So that sucks. But it hit in Barhaven, which is about 25 kilometers from here, which is 15 miles, something like that. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so weather is occurring, and it is bad, and the flooding in Vermont has actually severely affected a very dear friend of mine, and that also sucks. And that so I just thought I'd lead with not downer. Okay. Anyway, I'm fine considering all of these things. But otherwise, yeah, pretty okay. Can I show you my spider plant that I love? Sure. I will, like, in this, everything behind me is so blank, but everything in front of me and around me is actually quite nice and lush. Like, for instance, look at my beautiful spider plant.
It's so much bigger than the last time.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's grown.
Yep. It's grown up, and I love it. And also, did you know spider plants have these weird, long, pokey things? So, what are you today? Roots.
Can you wear like a hat for the adventure?
Professional author and writer person here. Long pokey thing.
Long pokey thing.
Yeah.
Listen, these are terms of art, okay?
Yeah, listen, long and pokey was an artistic choice, okay?
Yeah.
That's a Hugo Award-winning long pokey root right there.
Something, the curtains are blue because the author wanted the curtains to be blue.
Yes.
Yes.
I will accept this roasting. But no more. So anyway, yes, it is thriving, and I'm very happy with it. So anyway, that side I play.
Whoa.
I'll just
Garbage truck.
I was gonna say, I said
Tuesday,
your garbage truck. I just wait. I'm like, oh,
Oh,
that's Trent's
okay.
garbage truck.
Oh,
Yep.
it's Shadowed Mage's improv transformer
Right.
thing happening.
It could have been so many things. Anyway, I play Coriander Took, who is granddaughter to Granny Lavender, and is just super sweet and innocent and has never done anything wrong ever in her life.
Right, exactly, and has never found anything else accidentally in her pockets that weren't supposed to be. Absolutely.
Sometimes has pepper in her pockets for reasons known only to herself, but that are totally innocent and fine.
In all circumstances, 100%.
Whomst among us has not put pepper in their pockets?
For whatever purposes we might need it for. It's absolutely always a pleasure to have a Mal with us. Thank you, Mal. Moving right on the way over, it is Brad Bollier who's with us, who was also showing us some very cool stuff just now that we can't talk about. Well, no, I mean we can. It was.
We can talk about.
We could talk about it.
Describe.
We could describe it because it was very cool.
There's a thing like this, and there's a thing like this.
Yeah, like I know this is twisting your arm to do this, but why don't you describe roughly what you just in general terms what we were looking at, Brad? I think you can do that. And who are you playing as well?
And can you voice the things on the cover that you're about to describe?
See, you don't need me.
Yeah.
I don't think any of what I just did indicates
I'll describe
that.
it. I'll leave the
be honest.
dragons to Trent.
Yeah,
I'm doing well. The thing we're talking about is the cover reveal for the first book in my new series coming out in December, which is the series is the Book of the Hold. The book 1 is the Dragons of Deepwood Fen. It's a big, fat, epic fantasy with all kinds of cool dragons. The cover art's by Kekai Kotaki, and I've admired his stuff for quite a while. And he just did a really cool cover. So check me out at quillings.com. I'll be sure to post it there. Or if you follow me or Daw Books on Twitter and Instagram, they're going to post it as well. So that's coming out tomorrow. So I'm super excited about that. But in the meantime, I'm on the final leg. The copy edits have been a real slog. I've got a great copy editor who I met through some work on Grimdark Magazine, Mike Myers. He's a real taskmaster, and he's been helping me a lot to make my prose a bit more intimate and engaging. And it's a shift a little bit. Not that my stuff wasn't engaging before. It's just a different style than I'm sort of used to. It's a bit more spare, and I like it, but it's taken a while to get there. So it's been I'm dying at this point to get it done. Everything's pretty well wrapped up at this point. All the heavy
just put a
lifting
punctuation
is
mark.
over.
I'm just dying is really what I'm saying.
Yeah, just dying. I am. I want this over. Yeah, it's funny when you get to the point of like release time. You know, everyone's excited except for the author because they've been through so much already, and they're like on to the next book. They've put this thing to bed for months at that point, and of course they're excited for people to see it, but at the same time they're like, you know, I'm months into like the next project and stuff, and so it's almost you have to rewind when you get to release day and stuff, which Greg, you're gonna be dealing with in a couple days. And everybody be sure to check that out when it comes out. Renegade is coming out. It's awesome. Follows in Gray Shade's footsteps very well. I'm real happy to have read it.
Thank you.
Anyway, so that's where I am. I'm like in the thick of stuff. But I want to be out. I want to be out of the swamp. I want to move on to like creating new things. And in the meantime, I'm excited to play Caloran Fallowhide, a messenger who is he's a budding map maker, but he's also like a guy who likes to collect histories and stories, and among them he wants to like sort of build his own histories and stories with these fine folks. So looking forward to the fellowship phase and the next parts of our adventures.
Awesome. And yes, I am excited for that. And the aforementioned cover is really cool, Chad. And besides, Brad's an excellent writer. This is going to be a mutually admiration side. I also like your writing.
Anyway, well, I like you more.
Yeah, I like your writing even better. Anyway,
shut up. I like you more.
I'll tell you what's better writing. Your writing. Anyway, but no, I am grateful to Brad for having checked out Renegade, and I am excited for you to start that new series because Brad's excellent at epic fantasy anyway, but then when you add in dragons, I'm like, sign me up. I'm ready for that. So so definitely make sure you check that out. Coming from Daw, and thank you, Brad. Always a pleasure to have Brad with us. Also a pleasure to have, as we move to the bottom left, Tari, who is here with us despite the level of exhaustion. But Tari's here. She's ready to go. She is prepared. As you can see, she has constructed a whole series of plants to compensate for a mal spider plant. So now there are a bunch of plants behind her at every level. So you just have to keep that in mind. See? Aw, look at the little baby. Is that wait? Is that's no? What Pokemon is that? That's
Oddish.
That's Oddish.
It's Oddish. Yeah, it's Oddish. I know. That's right.
So this is I have a little.
Friend.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. See, it's like we all have pets.
Well, look. See,
Yours
I
is
can't-
actually.
see there.
Wow.
See, look right there. See, it exists. It's a good. There you go.
Well, this is my prayer plant, but
Come on,
I love
friend.
your bamboo though. Oh my God, sorry. Do all of yours come in little adorable
No,
creatures?
just these two actually.
Okay.
These are like the ones that I got for my boyfriend at some point.
sounds
So
really
they
good.
are above his desk.
Everyone's on trend now. Like, where's your plant, Trend? Where's your
I
plant?
know,
Where's
I
your
know.
plant?
Okay.
It's actually good though because I can like sort of try and figure out while I have it on Zoom, like where do I want to put the plant?
Trent, and you do have a map behind you that marks forests.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's an indication of like fake forests, of fake plants that exist in
There's
the
also
magic.
In a
Some
fake
sunflowers.
world.
Who knows that? Anyway, Tari, it's good to see you. And how are you doing? Despite being tired, how are you otherwise, and who are you playing?
Well, my PC is still broken, so I'm on my boyfriend's PC, hence the different background. It's a different lighting situation. Woo!
Ah.
So and like the oddish planter and the little penguin planter. But yeah, aside from that, just tired all the time, but also working a lot on the house, finally taking care of some shit that has been demanding to be taken care of for over a year now. So that's nice, just to like be halfway through and then realize, shit, I didn't buy enough supplies.
Oh,
I hope they still sell them, even though I got them a year ago.
Yeah.
So a lot of that, but yeah, aside from that, taking care of stuff, and in between playing a lot of Puzzle Bubble, the new one, which is so awesome and so goddamn difficult on the Switch.
What
by
is
the
it?
way. Puzzle Bubble.
What is that?
It's like a really old arcade game, originally by Taito. Like it.
Taito back in the day.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, well, it has like different names depending on where you are. Like I know in Germany it was called Bust a Move back in the day.
Oh, I think yes.
Like for the Super Nintendo.
Is it
and
dinosaurs
for
and
the-
there's like they shoot bubbles? Yeah.
Yes. I fucking loved that game as a kid, and then I saw like, whoa, what new one on the Switch? Yes, please sign me the fuck up. So I've just been playing that and cursing at the screen a lot, getting very very frustrated because no game that looks this cute has the right to be this hard.
Mhm.
It's like brutal at times, fucking brutal. But yeah, besides that, and my PC being broken, I cannot draw or do proper work on there like I can do in my sketchbook, so that's what I've been doing a lot. But yeah, I can't work on the webcomic that I just started, which is annoying.
We have
called Penelope's Little Heraldry.
9 new emotes coming from Tari to you as soon as you get the PC back.
True. Yeah, which are also on my fucking PC. So it's like, oh, literally my PC broke like after the day I finished it. Like the data is fine. It's like something with the power supply. The hard drive should be perfectly fine, but still, it's unfucking fortunate. But yeah, besides that, I am playing one Granny Lavender Hopesinger, who is a scholar and a hobbit, and one Coriander's grandmother on her mother's side, and a distant cousin to Caloran through my great grandfather's side. So that is a family configuration, but I'm also a healer. And as you can see, I like to smoke my pipe as every good hobbit does.
Yep, which is definitely online with the healing. I mean, I see those things totally, connected. But always.
Well, you can't get lung cancer if you don't have a lung left, huh?
That's yes.
You could also argue that leaf is a different thing with non-carcinogenic properties, and nevertheless, if any similarity exists, it could just be armoring your lungs from within with a thin coating of tar that prevents other noxious fumes
like
from
oxygen,
taking
getting
yeah
in there.
Oh,
noxious.
Yeah.
oxygen is so bad for you.
That's why people have
Noxygen,
antioxidants.
more
People,
like.
yes,
Have you seen?
people have
seen
antioxidants.
iron?
Okay, like I mean,
Have you seen iron when you leave it out
Right,
in
right.
the
You
air?
don't
Which
want
is
that.
in your blood. You
don't
want your blood
rust,
to
do you?
rust. Thank you.
It is always a pleasure to have Tari with us, as I somehow become the first actual and the last actual play to be sponsored by Philip Morris. Anyway, it's great to see everyone here. And to move on, never mind. A very bad tobacco company you want nothing to do with.
Oh,
To move us on, always a pleasure to have Tari with us. And yes, there will be emotes coming. Also, a Shire Adventures image that will be updating the store as well. But again, that all waits for the PC to return to its normal
I'm
glorious
so
self.
fucking sorry.
It's not. I totally get it. It's cool. But it's most important that we have the amazing Tari with us in person. So that's really good.
Well, you have
last,
Tari. I don't know if it's the most amazing one right now, but
well, listen, it's listen. I know it's a tired Tari. It's a tiree. Anyway, it is also a pleasure to have with us Trent Sparks, who is with us in here and available. Trent, it is good to see you. We had a massive thunderstorm here before, Trent, actually. So I was thinking about you. It was not a tornado. It was just a thunderstorm. And I was like, Trent would absolutely love this. And it was incredibly dark inside my office, and no longer is because it is finally passed. But furious storms followed by 90-degree weather. Totally normal, right? But how have you been, Trent? How's life in the universe over in your neck of the woods, and who are you playing today?
Okay, I want you to imagine a plant. Okay, just imagine a plant. It is a succulent. It has like these thick sort of. The plant is called baby's toes, and it's like got like these thick succulent like stem
Thick
things.
succulent baby's toes.
Well, technically they're leaves, but they're
don't
really
want to
really
imagine that.
right. But it's Latin. Its scientific name is like it has the word defenestrate in the name.
Okay.
Which most of us know means to throw something out of a window, but the reason they have them, and part of the reason why they're called baby's toes, is because at the tip of every one of these leaves, there's a tiny clear window of sorts that it looks like a little baby's toenail, if maybe the baby was the Hulk or something, because it's green. Obviously the toe is green, whatever. So in like December or so, they start sending out, or November, no, in winter, they start sending up blooms that will open during the day and they close up at night. And typically they don't bloom in like the summer when it's hot, unless they're really, really happy, which looks a lot like this.
Oh, look at that.
And so the reason I didn't have it was because it was in the kitchen window. I had to go get it. So, but yeah, every night this blossom closes up, and then when the sun hits it in the day, it opens up again. It's kind of like a morning glory that way.
He had to go run down to the corner to get this plant to make up this story too, Chad. So
Right.
it's amazing.
And I had to make the plastic, mold the pot, and then had to run out to the nearby, high desert and get the soil for it.
And then scream at it to be happy. Like,
Right.
just like, so that's amazing.
I had to be unbelievably cold and cruel to make it think it was winter.
You're no longer excluded from the Cool Plants Club. So that's
right.
That's
Thank you. So what have I been up to lately? Aside from having a plant in the window that is for some reason blooming 6 months out of season, I finally finished the TechLit anthology.
Oh, good.
That I was working for. I was like, oh God, okay. And I told Adam, I said, I'll be done with it, by Friday. And like Sunday, I'm just finishing the edits on the thing. I'm like, okay, here it is. And he's like, I need you to do one. I know we said that, I would do the interstitials and that you, Trent, would do the other part. Can you just go ahead and do the author's note as well? Like, God, like, why do I have to read more of David Prince's words? Anyway, it's only like one page, so I did it pretty fast and then uploaded it. I'm like, okay, here. And he's like, oh, okay, I may have miscommunicated something. I'm like, I will reach through this monitor and strangle you.
I needed you to do this backwards in Spanish.
Almost.
God, son of a...
Almost. He actually kind of miscommunicated part of something that we were supposed to be doing that I wound up doing more than he wanted me to actually do. And I'm like, okay, so whatever you don't need, just scrap it. It's fine.
Right.
I don't care. It's done. And so after like a week of listening to my own voice and just being like, I'm so sick of hearing my own voice, then John is like, here's Hour of the Wolf that you and Lisa did. Can you do an audio proof on this? I'm like, oh God, no, that's like 20 hours. No. And so, yeah, that's what I'm working on now. Yay. So I'm playing this horrible person who is a man of Bree. He is a gate guard from Bree. He is the guy that in a few years will get trampled under gate by the Nazgul if he lives that long. If he doesn't live that long, then obviously he probably wasn't him. Anyway, so yeah, his name is Thane. No, Titch Applebow.
There you go.
And that's it for now.
Well done.
Oh, that kind of rhymes.
That's absolutely. That's
Titch
right.
Applebow,
We
and
have not existed long enough in the world, that character, to create multiple titles. So so that's good.
Patience.
It is good to see everybody here. I'm going to fire up the music in a second, but I will tell everybody that we are in the year 1360 by Shire reckoning, and the intrepid crew here has now gone through not one but two separate adventures, beginning with a conspiracy most cracked and then expert treasure hunters. But I don't have a recap to do today because I don't need to do one, because today is a very special phase. It is called the Fellowship phase. It is the phase that exists between adventure sequences. Oh yes, that was the.
That's what happened.
that was
Titch ran
pretty much it. Titch ran really fast. Two really fun parts of the campaign, and I will say, Chad, that after this Fellowship phase, we are just about halfway through the campaign, which only started in January. It's a much faster campaign than Adventures of Middle Earth was, and so. But today we have a Fellowship phase, which run a little bit different than the Fellowship phase from Adventures of Middle Earth. Before we get to that Fellowship phase, though, we have reached level 2. And so as I fire up the music, I do want to ask, I want to see what we've got in terms of level 2 stuff. Let's get some Willow in the Light going on there. Good. Okay, so I want to see what we've got in terms of leveling. So let me start here. Let me work from the bottom corner. I'll go, I think, in the opposite direction. I'll start with our Man of Bree captain.
Question?
And go backwards. Yes.
How are we doing HP?
It is up to you as to whether you want to roll for it or whether you want to take the average. The true, thank you, Effect Life. 27 months, level 2. Exactly, that was well worth it. Thank you so much, Effect Life. The true players face their fears with confidence and fear no darkness, and they rolled HP. No, it's completely up to you if you don't want to be subject to that.
I like the shiny math rocks. So
that is entirely up to you if you want to do that. If you want to do that by taking the average, you can do that. I'll let you decide that when we get to you. Titch, as a Man of Bree, level 2, a couple of things actually happen for you besides the hit point stuff. The first is that you are going to be picking a craft or a virtue, or I should say a craft or a virtue, and a fighting style. Yes. So there are multiple fighting styles. I don't know if you want to go through them or if you want me to. Okay.
Praying mantis.
Yeah, exactly. The path
Tiger.
of the bear.
Yes.
Right.
Path of the owl. So what are the fighting styles?
That throw down his weapons and leave if that were the case.
What are the fighting styles that you could choose, Titch?
Maybe the bear was me all along. Anyway, so the first is defense. And while I am wearing armor, I gain a +1 bonus to my AC, which is pretty good.
Yep.
There is dueling. When you are wielding a melee weapon in one hand and no other weapon, you gain +2 bonus to damage and rolls with that weapon.
Okay.
That is very not bad. Great weapon fighting. When you roll damage for an attack you make with melee weapon that you are wielding with 2 hands, you can treat any roll of 4 or less on a damage die as a 5. Nice.
Yeah.
Weapon must have the 2-handed or versatile property for you to gain this benefit. And finally, protection. When a creature you can see hits you or a target other than you that is within 5 feet of you with a melee attack, you can use your reaction to add your proficiency bonus, which at this point is 2, to the target's AC for that attack. So for example, if somebody was going to hit Coriander and I was standing right next to her, I could basically push my shield in front of her to help protect her and give her a +2 to her AC.
And then glare at her for having exposed herself somehow
exactly.
in the fight.
I said stay behind me. Right. I must be wearing a
now.
Now I'm behind you.
Or
I knew you would keep me behind you.
By the way, I've got your shield. Which I must be wearing a shield or a finesse weapon in order for that to work. So I don't think my spear counts.
Right, but it actually gives you an opportunity though
does.
to consider about
Yes, it
what you want to do in terms of going forward. So what's your thought about how you want to? Because I don't want to influence it. In my mind, I haven't thought about what Titch is going to be, but you tell me.
As soon as I read all 4 of them, of course, it's not like I could have figured it out before that. But as soon as I finally finished reading, knowing what he does as a gate guard, I think that should the gates fall, his job is still to protect the people of the city, and I think he's going to go protection.
Yeah, I had a feeling it might be something like that, which means we're looking at shield work, going forward.
All the way down.
Yeah, which is that's all the way down.
Exactly.
Shield. Oh yes, exactly. A shield, and I see some heraldry, bright eyes coming up there. So yes, good stuff. So that will be yours is now protection. I love it. That's your fighting style. And we also have a virtue, and this is something which is going to be affecting more than just you. Virtues are things which also exist within Adventures of Middle-earth, and there are both common virtues and cultural virtues, and you can take each virtue only once. Or, instead of taking a virtue, you could gain a craft slot and a craft of your choice from the Scholar's Craft list. And this is a good chance for us to talk briefly about that, chat. So in the Scholar's Craft list, you do have the opportunity here to be able to get a list of items from craft. It's basically a technique that can be acquired by any adventurer from any calling, but they're the special domain of scholars. So the list of this is beastcraft, so you can communicate and verbally communicate with beasts. Comprehend and verbally communicate with beasts. Handcraft, making things with superior skill and cunning. Leechcraft, you are skilled in the healing of wounds and sickness. Runecraft, you can read and write runic inscriptions. Songcraft, which would be really funny if Titch decided he was going to be, and I think I will never see. So there's that.
Right? You could be Bob Dylan. You could be Bob Dylan of the Shire and write poetry, but just get other people to sing it much better than you.
That's true. Everybody must be in Bree. That's actually true. I saw Bob Dylan live at the University of Connecticut some years ago, and his voice was just as terrible as always, but man, is his band dynamite. He had 2 drum set, and the songs are great. It's just, that's him. So
Titch is more like Jim Neighbors.
Okay, tremendous, great. So we have Songcraft.
The Brady Bunch. That
exactly.
When it's time to change, then it's time to change.
Or Speechcraft, student of Scindian and Quenya, the ancient tongue. Weaponcraft, gaining proficiency with a weapon if you don't already have it, and you can use either intelligence, wisdom, or charisma instead of strength or dexterity for attack and damage. And last, Woodcraft, familiar with the difficulties encountered when crossing wildlands and with the ways of overcoming them. So Titch could choose a craft if he didn't want to choose a virtue, or could choose a virtue, and there are both common ones and cultural ones. So having said all of that, Tren, what are you thinking about for Titch in terms of...
Where are the virtues?
The virtues are in Chapter 4, which is on page 80 of your PDF that you should have. And I'm not going to go through these in great detail, just run through them quickly. Common ones are confidence. You can increase intelligence, wisdom, or charisma, and get proficiency in saving throws for those. Dour-handed, increase your strength score and gain a +1 bonus to weapon damage rolls. Hardiness, improve con by 1. Hit point maximum increases as well. Mastery, increase 1 ability score of your choice by 1, and you gain a skill, tool, or weapon proficiency of your choice. Nimbleness, your dex goes up by 1, AC goes up by 1, but you lose it if you're wielding a shield, so I don't think that makes sense based on what you just did. Prowess, increase 1 ability score of your choice by 2, or 2 ability scores of your choice by 1. All of those ones I just mentioned are common to all of you, by the way. They're common virtues that anyone could theoretically choose. However, there is additionally virtues of the Men of Bree. There is one which immediately everyone is going to tell you to take, And that
Bree
is
pony.
Bree Pony.
No.
Yep, you got
Oh.
it. You increase your wisdom by 1. Your pony uses your proficiency boner rather than its own, has a number of hit dice equal to your character level, and obeys your commands. So you could be Bree the pony.
I
Bree
just
Pony.
heard you say proficiency boner.
I did too.
Proficiency
I did too.
boner. Did I say that?
That's what you
Yes,
said.
you did.
That's why, if you eventually go back and look at the VOD, as soon as those words came out of your mouth, I went, and then I was like, nope, let it go, let it go, let it go.
Also, he uses your boner rather than his own. So anyway, moving right on to
Oh my
Defiance.
god!
Listen, I either have to lean into it or just stop the stream. So what do
Don't
you want
say
from me?
that
That's
either.
what she said!
Wow. All right. Listen, yeah, that is all.
Yeah,
You're all to blame. You're all
me,
to blame.
the furry,
You
is
all-
trying
you're
to
the
shut
blame.
this down and
Okay.
move on.
Okay, Defiance, which increases your con by 1, and you can spend 1 hit die to heal yourself as a bonus action, which is cool. Desperate Courage. You've lived all your life on the edge of the wild, so you can increase your ability score by 1, and whenever you gain shadow points, you also gain inspiration. That one's interesting to me, I think.
I haven't lived my life on the wild, so it doesn't make any sense narratively.
Fair enough. Friendly and Familiar. You can increase your
I
charisma
already
by
have.
1. Fellowship, right, that's right. Strange as News from Bree, which is you increase intelligence or wisdom by 1, gain proficiency in the investigation skill, and during each fellowship phase, this is why we're doing level first, you can receive a rumor from the lore master. The Art of Smoking. I don't think you smoke, but I'll come back to
I
that
do.
with that
I
stuff.
have proficiency with pipes.
Oh, you do have that already. Okay, so you can increase intelligence, wisdom, or charisma. Your proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability check you make with pipe. And you can use your pipe to gain inspiration a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus instead of just once. So those are what you got. You got those virtues or a craft and your hit points. So having done all of that, what sounds promising to you?
I am. I really wish I had remembered or realized that we were doing this. I would have looked these up before.
If you want me to if you want to think about it and I go on to everyone else and then come back to
Yeah.
you, I can do that. Do
Yeah.
you want me to do that? Okay.
Yeah, please.
All right. Tari, let me deal with you next.
Oh yeah, mine is really straightforward.
Is
like
it,
I
is
don't
it
get to
seriously or are
choose
you joking?
anything. I don't get to choose anything. So it's just I get 2 new features called Cunning Mind and Hands of the Healer. Cunning Mind does following.
I see it. You can tell. Yeah, you
Starting
can
at
tell.
2nd level, you can take a bonus action on each of your turns in combat. This action can be used only to make an intelligence or wisdom check or take the help action. Yeah, basically bonus action help a guy.
But that's useful though, because a help
Yeah,
action
but like
normally would use
bonus
it up,
action
so.
gives somebody advantage or something. I
Exactly,
guess.
yeah.
So, which is very useful. And that is unlimited. So that's also nice. And then the second one is Hands of a Healer, which should be very familiar to people, at least to the ones who read the books, because that's what Aragorn has, and which marks him as the king.
And it's also what Tawny Bear had in our last campaign in AIME.
And also goes like way back into Abrahamic religion.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like something like the king of Promised Land. I don't know which name it was. Anyway, also like he's gonna have the Hands of a Healer. That's where we're talking got that one from. Anyway, so yeah, beginning at 2nd level, you can use healing techniques to treat the wounds of your allies during a short rest. Choose a number of friendly creatures, including yourself, who spend 1 or more hit dice at the end of the short rest, up to twice your proficiency bonus. Each of those creatures regains an extra 1d6 hit points for each hit die spent.
So they do need to, in other words, use a hit die themselves, but then you basically buff that is essentially what that means in this context. So you increase the healing that gets done, which is cool. But they have to have used one of their hit dice during that rest for them to get benefit.
Yeah, I guess. I haven't really filed that into my brain yet.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And yeah, that is it, except for hit points that you get.
Yes, a d8.
That's a 2. So we're just gonna.
So I'm gonna take the average, as I was.
Nope.
No.
That's all right. It's
Yeah, plus my con modifier, which is +1, so I get +3 hit points, which puts me up to
12, a robust 12.
Well, I
Or-
guess it checks out. Granny is a bit.
Well, she took that. Yeah, she took that
Fragile.
injury last time. Yeah, so
What is the average?
it would be for her.
Of
It's
an
a
8,
D8,
that
right?
would be.
So it would have been 5. It would have been 4 plus 1 is 5 as opposed to 3. So it's not like a huge,
I see.
So okay, good stuff. Yeah, and that cunning mind is going to be quite useful, I think, with Tari playing it. So it's
Yes,
going to be good
yes.
stuff.
And one more question.
Sure.
We had skipped over that last time, or like until now, and that is the herbal remedies that I get. Like basically, I have none at this moment. How many can I have?
Herbal remedies.
Wait a second. Let me find the page.
I'm looking for.
Why does it not find anything?
I don't know. Because I don't see it myself. I mean, there's an herbalism kit, but I don't.
No, there was like a thing that gave me like a certain amount of like herbal remedies.
It might be your craft, which would be 55 or 64.
No, that's Leech Craft. Anyway, I'm gonna go try it.
Okay, take a look at it and find out. We'll come back to you. But otherwise, looks good. All right, Brad, I'll come to you next. Cal is, of course, a messenger. And at level 2, we get again, well, 2 things. First of all, sneak attack, and you can explain to people, but I think people should be familiar with a little bit with it, with what Bolo was able to bring to the table. But then also this craft or virtue that I mentioned before. So for the sneak attack, you can tell people about what that does, and then we'll talk about what craft or virtue sounds good to you. Hey, what's up, Andy? What's up, my friend?
I'm not sure if that changed. I'm rolling up to it now.
Oh, okay.
If it changed in the rule base from the previous
a little bit.
Adventures in Middle-earth.
Yeah, a little bit. I can do that. I can talk about that in just a bit. Good to see you, Andy. Sneak attack just basically means you can deal an extra 1d6 damage to one creature you hit with an attack if you have advantage on the attack roll. You have to use a finesse or ranged weapon, but you do not need advantage on the attack roll if another enemy of the target is within 5 feet of it. So if one of your comrades is up close and personal, you don't then need advantage on it. If the enemy isn't incapacitated and you don't have disadvantage on the attack roll. So in other words, if your comrade is actively fighting something, not just lying next to it, and you don't have disadvantage on the attack roll, then you get extra damage, and over time that increases. Becomes 2d6 at 3rd level, becomes 2d6 at 5th level, and then on and on and on from there. So sneak attack becomes quite powerful as time goes on. So that's very good. But then there's also craft or virtue. And I wondered if any of those, or do you have any interest in crafts, of the crafts that I mentioned? And if not, the common virtues remain the same, but there are also specific virtues to hobbits, which will apply as well to, I think, to coriander as well. So do the craft have any interest to you?
No, I actually had a virtue eyed up when I made the character, and I can't remember if I couldn't take it or just wanted a different one. But anyway, 3 is company. I thought was
That's
really
not
cool.
what I wanted.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
What's it do?
So the wise say it is sometimes best to trust friendship than trust to friendship than to great wisdom. This is particularly true for hobbits, as everyone knows. It is hardly possible to separate them from their friends.
Hardly possible.
You have given your trust to your fellow company members, and a true friendship has grown from the bond unifying you.
Love it.
So I would increase charisma score by 1 to a maximum of 20. And this is the cool part. Increase the fellowship rating of your company by 1.
Yep.
And then when I spend fellowship points, choose a number of companions, which can include yourself, who can see or hear you up to twice your proficiency bonus, each of those companions gains inspiration.
That's interesting because mine just says up to your proficiency bonus, not up to twice.
Oh, okay.
I literally just read it in the. I mean, this is in the PDF. I don't know.
The printed books, that's interesting because the printed book says up to your proficiency bonus. We'll worry. I mean, I'll get clarification and find out. Regardless, each of those companions gains inspiration. That's awesome. Totally fits narratively.
It kind of magnifies the party, and having a close knit party as you can sort of see like sending a message without even talking, to somebody because you know them so well. Just a nod or a look or a tip of the head, or something like that. It's kind of neat. So, and I thought with Cal being messenger guy / eager to talk and learn about people, he would sort of build these kinds of relationships fairly quickly, and so it seemed to fit him pretty well.
Yep. And now you have already the fellowship rating, because let's see, we chose the meet patron additional opportunity, right? Plus 2 points. So I think we started with the fellowship points should be generally 4 plus. I think we had was it +2 for Bilbo, which means 6. So then if you were to take this, Cal, it would be 7 would be the total points. Although it should be noted that Bilbo is the starting patron, and you may end up deciding to switch, so they don't stack. Like if another patron became part of it, you might not necessarily keep 2 plus something else. Thank you for the resub, Chaotix. Appreciate it.
Okay.
But anyway, regardless, that would definitely be a good thing, and that would give you a lot of fellowship points to work with. So yes. So are you definitely going down that road, you think?
Yeah, I like it. So
okay. Then there's your virtue. That is simple enough to do. And so that just leaves us with the one. Now, your hit points are 1d8. You could take the average, which is 5, or do as the courage and confidence of hobbits, which has never failed, should do, and that is step forward and roll as in accordance with the prophecy. But it is up to you. You can do either one.
So it's a straight D8, no pluses.
Plus your con.
Plus your con.
Yeah, plus your con modifier.
Here's my con.
Do it.
Level 1. Well, rolling is always fun, right?
Yes.
I'll roll.
Good.
It's not best of 2.
Say again.
It's not best of 2.
It's not best of 2. Sadly not.
All right, here we go.
Wait, do we? Wait.
Oh, look at that. See? Clearly was the right way to go. 8 total points, because you said you had a +1 on the con, right?
Yeah.
So look at that. 8 points. See, and if Granny was paying attention, this is what would have happened for Granny as well. It was just,
Did you say something?
So 17, I believe, is what I have you at now, Cal. Wow.
Yep.
A hale and hearty young hobbit.
More like a hobgoblin, am I right? All right. So good stuff, Cal. And that is level 2 for Cal. Last but certainly not least, we have, of course, Amal and Coriander, who is, and by the way, for those who don't know, Indy is a dear friend and a musician who has been with ArvCon for a long time and has come to a musical event live and in person. I've actually met him and plays all kinds of awesome games and stuff like that. And you should follow him because
concert.
He did a concert. Does occasionally a little bit of strumming away at the guitar. Indy may or may not have a role on this channel. He said archly, not related to this campaign, but may have a role somewhere else.
ROLE or ROLL?
ROLE at a later point in the not too distant future, so you should be on the lookout for that. In the meantime, you should check him out and follow him and do all the streaming. But Indy, what we're doing here is we're playing ourselves some Lord of the Rings role-playing sponsored by Free League Publishing. These folks are in the middle of a fellowship phase, and I am about to hear from Coriander Took, played by the amazing Amal, who is a treasure hunter, what they would like, because there's not a whole lot, I guess, at level 2 for treasure hunter, but you do get something very important, which is what? What do you get, Coriander?
Get a cunning action, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what that is?
That is.
Which is, sorry, I literally just had it and then I moved away from it somehow. How did this, PDFs, why are they like this? Why do they ruin my life?
Not for much longer. Oh, I should actually, I can announce that. I should mention Free League is going to be sending hard copies of the rules to everybody, and I'm getting the addresses from them, so they should, within the next, I would say 2 weeks anyway, have hardcover books like the one that I've got here, which may help the PDF problem a little bit. Sorry, on you go.
Yes.
Thank you,
yes,
Free League.
Agreed. Yes, hooray. Sorry, here. Needs to stop flashing at me. Okay. Yes. So, cunning action. Starting at 2nd level, you can take a bonus action on each of your turns in combat. This action can be used only to take the dash, disengage, or hide action.
Which is pretty sweet. The hide action, for one thing, was a lot going on with Coriander for that. I could see stuff for dash as well, and maybe even disengage if Coriander somehow was in a fight with someone and then decided to back off. So that's pretty good. That is good. Treasure Hunter specialty at level 3, where you'll be able to really refine further the direction that Coriander was going to go. But for now, level 2 will allow you to do the cunning action. Now, question: are you taking the average of 5, or are you going to roll? So far, one person didn't do so well, but one person did very well. So
yeah, the average of those two things might be the thing to do. Honestly, the fact that I know that this isn't actually how statistics works, but the fact that Brad just rolled a 7 makes me disinclined to roll.
It has no bearing on what you're gonna roll.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you, Tari, very much for that.
So, yeah.
Entertaining. And Coriander would do it.
Would she, or would she just snatch the thing that
Snatch
is
the 5?
Yeah.
That's true.
So she's currently at 10 hit points. I feel like advancing by 5 is actually pretty good, pretty in keeping with her emergent constitution.
It's not the dizzying heights of, say Caller and Fallowhide, but it's,
it's true. I mean, it's in his name. Fallowhide.
Fallowhide, yeah.
Yeah. So I think I know rolling is always fun. Trent, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna roll? Or
I'm gonna roll.
You're gonna roll.
I'm gonna roll.
That would be the only one who didn't roll.
Roll.
Take the
Let
average,
it. I will say for the record.
Peer pressure.
Yeah, I'm gonna be peer pressured into this, so I want the record to show I would have preferred to take the average.
You really literally can do
That's what
whichever
I
you
said.
like.
Of course,
take-
but
You also can't do worse than I did, so.
that's true. I can do as bad as you did. Okay. All right.
All in the family.
Let's say I wanna. You know what? I wanna roll a 5. Let me try and do a called shot here.
Okay.
So I'm rolling 1d8.
I think you're gonna roll more than that. So there.
3.1.
Inshallah. Okay. Let's see. Let's see how we go. Roll 1d8. Yeah.
So
Well,
you know how you're
there's a
related to
family.
Granny? So
It's a
there may be a
family,
genetic thing
frailty.
that, yeah,
Genetic thing.
just
there you go.
just sort of,
Yeah. So she is at 12, like her granny.
The good news is Titch is likely to do very well now.
I did it for you, Tren. Did it for you. Go on.
Oh man, there's
I
gonna
appreciate
be a very
Good thing-
irritated subtweet or sub blue sky, whatever the hell, sub post coming up, and
It's a
they're
good
gonna
thing
be
you
like, everything okay? I'll be like, oh yeah, it's fine, it's all great.
It's a good thing you can disengage and hide now
It's true.
at any time.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Oh, Coriander took
Um,
a chance, and then
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I was
Um,
going to explain which craft I took as well, but
yes, tell that. Well,
Oh, you took witchcraft? I didn't know that was an option.
well, it is now.
what are you taking actually, Titch?
I'm taking craft.
You are going
hand-
to take a craft. Ah.
Yeah.
What craft are you taking?
Well, he has been using his carpentry tools
Okay.
Aw.
to. He's been examining the haft of his spear for a while,
Uh-huh.
and figured out that if he takes his carpentry tools and he puts slight divots in certain places, he can reinforce the grip and make it easier to manipulate in specific ways, given how he tends to fight when he fights. And so he is going to be taking on the keen weapon effect, which, sharp and better balanced, this weapon is now much more likely to produce a critical hit when it hits the target. Attacks using this weapon score a critical hit on the roll of a 19 or a 20.
Very, very nice. Did you where are you? What craft was this that you were using here?
It's in the crafts, obviously.
Yeah, no, I know, but
it's and then it's in the first thing it gets is a reward.
handcraft. Okay.
Yes.
So this is handcraft. Okay. So during a fellowship phase, you can spend a craft slot, choose a non-magical item in your possession. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Cool. That's pretty cool. And so is upgraded with the reward, and you have done the reward. Okay, so give us the reward again. It is basically 1920 is crit now.
Expanded critical.
Okay, that's great. Awesome. I love it. Yeah, good call. I think it's interesting that they're given a choice of crafts or virtues. So, all right, hit points. Last but certainly not least.
All right, I'm gonna push my little hit dice button here, and see what we get.
Oh, that's how you
8
do
points.
it. That's how you do it.
Yeah, you just click the hit dice button, and it'll roll and add your constitution modifier.
I think these dice are misogynistic. I'm like,
Oh wait, the hit die button already adds the con. Oh, that means I don't have 12 hit points. That means I have 11 hit points. That's even worse.
no, it didn't automatically add it.
No, for me it did.
Oh,
It
really?
did? Oh,
yes,
so you have
I just
11.
said 11.
Because Amal, you just rolled 1d8.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
If you click the word hit dice on your character sheet, it adds the con modifier.
Well, then
so
you
I
should.
rolled
Well,
the
then you
wrong
really should
thing.
roll. You should press the hit dice button. Then.
I
That's
would
what you
like to
should
press
do.
the hit dice
But if you get a
button.
1 again, you got no sympathy at that point. All right.
Absolutely.
All right.
I will hit the.
Oh,
'Cause, yeah.
So Amal gets a reroll.
I didn't
see
hit
how
the
it
hit
is.
dice.
She didn't hit the
button.
hit dice button.
I
She
didn't
rolled the
realize
wrong
that's what I
button.
had to do. It was wrong.
It was wrong
hit
and
the hit dice
bad
button.
and bad and wrong.
I mean, if the pattern continues, which once again is obviously how statistics works, it will simply be the hit dice button again. Let's see.
Wow. Now Tari gets to subtweet Amal. Be like, oh yeah, look at my spider plant.
Wait a second. Okay, I didn't even realize. Of course, so it adds my con modifier, not one. So it would have been 3. It would have been. I didn't realize. Sorry. There are so many things I did not realize anyway. My 1 would. Wow.
Tari keeps like putting up more and more like
Fruit.
what is this now? What is this now? This is, like,
Watermelon.
but is it an angry watermelon? Is it a
Does it
frustrated
look
watermelon?
angry? It's smiling.
No, this is Melon because he's a little friend.
I see.
Oh.
That's actually his name.
That is
I
very
didn't just
cute.
make this up. That is actually his name.
So Coriander, you're up to what then? If you get the 10?
20.
20. Wow. All right. Coriander took. All right.
Coriander tank.
Coriander tank.
Well,
Just keep
puts
that in
her
mind.
One more than Titch.
I look forward to seeing you as a tank in this next portion of the adventure. Okay, 20 out of 20.
Yeah. Quick question.
Sure.
Sorry. Is Titch done?
I want it well.
Yeah.
So Titch, you got a total of 8 plus or just 8? You did
Just
total of 8. So it got it. So you're up 19 now?
Mm-hmm.
So Coriander, more than the captain of Brie. Okay. Yes,
I'm
you had
not
a
the
question.
captain of Bree. I'm a gate guard.
You're a captain and you're a man of Brie.
We
You're Captain of Brie.
see your light path.
Yeah,
And it's,
exactly.
there.
Does that include getting trampled by the Nazgul?
You don't know. Maybe they'll avoid this path. Maybe this is a metaverse story. Maybe this is Strange New Worlds where Pike isn't going to become the guy in the wheelchair at the end of it.
Maybe
Who
you'll
knows,
do
you know?
a river and you'll die briefly, but then come back to life. Fulfill a prophecy.
I'm
Exactly.
going to sit here and ponder that drinking my Jamaica.
So yes, Amel, you had a question.
Yes. So our initial character creation had a lot of question marks in it.
Yes.
And stuff, and there are some things that were never resolved in my initial character creation, and that I'm wondering if now would be a good time to do.
Okay, such as?
So in my skill notes, I have expertise.
Yep.
So at first level, choose any combination of 2 of your skill and tool proficiencies. Your proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability check you make that uses either of the chosen proficiencies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I ever chose what those were.
The skills. So
Yeah.
did you choose any skills at all at the beginning or no?
I did.
Okay.
So the skills that I have are acrobatics, athletics, perception, persuasion, sleight of hand, and stealth.
It should be 4. You was that 4 that I heard? Or was there more than 4?
1, 2, 3, 4. That was 6. I think there was something that I had that told me to pick a 2 extra or something.
There's probably some for being a burglar, thief,
Yeah.
whatever, and some for being a hobbit.
Yeah.
Okay, because of being a hobbit, I think. Okay. All right,
Yeah,
fine.
so I'm just reading off
so that's
what
6.
is on
So then,
the-
so you choose any combination of 2 of those, and then also you have tool proficiencies. And I think you were probably proficient in thieves' tools, would be my guess. So you
So
could...
this is my thought, because so I have these thieves' tools on here.
Yep.
But I don't. But there's just a question mark next to it.
It always does this.
Okay.
If you click on when you mouse over it, there'll be a little gear next to it.
Yeah.
And where the question marks are, it says, whatever. And if you click on that, you can apply dexterity as the...
Okay. So attribute should be dex. Okay.
Mhm.
And then...
And if you're going to have proficiency, where it says proficient above that, if you click on it, you can select expertise, and it'll automatically calculate that for you.
This is so clever. Okay, thank you. Okay, so so expertise is the doubling of the proficiency. Okay, I see. Okay, great.
So which 2 are you choosing then, just so I know, Amel?
Natural 20.
So it's got to be wait, did I just roll something?
Yeah,
Roll
thieves'
the
tools.
natural 20. Yeah.
It's okay, you used it up now. It's a good time.
Oops. Okay, great. No. And then so I'm supposed to pick one. So any 2 of your
Skill and tool
any
proficiencies
combination-
together, right? So
Yeah.
it's 2 total. So you have
Okay.
you can pick 1 proficiency, 1 skill, 2 skills, 2 proficiencies. Up to you.
Okay. All right. So
And if you want to take a look at those skills while I go to ask Trent about
sure.
or no, actually I take care of Trent. So you're the last you're the last person
love that.
standing, actually, unfortunately, Amel.
Okay, so that's fine. So what I literally just did was already make myself doubly proficient in thieves' tools, but
With
I could
those tools.
undo. Okay, yeah, I could undo that if I didn't want that. But
Right.
okay, I
Probably
think
a decent idea to do that, honestly, if you're gonna. I mean, like that wouldn't
Yeah.
be a
That's
bad
what you're
call.
gonna get.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah,
It's
I was trying to think my way through this in terms of like, what is a thing that I would like Coriander to basically, be just super excellent at doing, at being expert at doing basically, and the things that I was, and I kind of want to make it insane, like just ridiculous, like truly ridiculous. So I think the thieves' tools make sense for her. The one that I'm debating next is acrobatics or stealth, I think.
Both good ones, yeah. That
Acrobatics
actually, and it
is
really
not-
will shape how you want your character to be. It's
Yeah.
I mean, like, yes, they could work together, but in a way and in fact, the last combat that we had, where you were at first trying to be stealthy, then you're up on top of a wall. Like, you could have really gone either direction with that.
Yeah.
And so it kind of depends on how you want Coriander to envision herself, I would say.
I really see her as a tumbler.
Yeah,
like
okay, I buy that.
I kind of see her as just she is so absurdly dexterous. It's truly ridiculous. And so I like the idea that she's kind of constantly in motion and constantly turning somersaults and
Makes sense.
so but the tactical move for stealing things would probably be to combine thieves' tools and stealth, which I also kind of like for her. But I don't know, I guess partly I like the idea that it's like one vision of her is, stereotypical TV ninja style, just melding with shadows using thieves' tools. Another one is like dangling from her feet from a tree trunk to open a window in the top floor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, very Mission
So-
Impossible, yeah.
Yeah. So it's tricky. So having said, okay, I'm putting a pin in that briefly to ask you my second question.
Okay.
Which is I have sneak attack
Mhm.
on my sheet. A thing that I think I hadn't clocked about sneak attack is that it says you must use a finesse or a ranged weapon.
Right.
So is a dagger a finesse weapon?
Yeah.
It's versatile. It can be finesse.
It can be finesse, yes.
It can't be finesse?
Yeah.
Okay. The thing is, the more I think about... So this never came up. Using the dagger never came up. And because it never came up, I kind of would like to make it make her a ranged weapon user instead. I think it makes a lot more sense
That's
for her
fine.
character.
As in
So
like slingshot, maybe something along those lines.
Sling, or I could see her getting really into arrows, but I think sling makes more sense because I imagine she's a much. I imagine her as more likely to improvise weapons.
I could see that.
So if she can like pick up stones to do that, or if she can like have, I don't know. I totally envision her like, oh no, here we are in a dragon horde. I'm gonna use this cup in my sling.
Right. Oh, look, a jewel. Not the jewel. You know,
exactly.
Like, yeah.
So I think I will do sling instead of dagger. So I just wanted to make that change up front. And
there is no sling in this rulebook, so you're gonna have to get that from.
Oh, that's right. We talked
Oh,
about
that's
this
Wait a
last
second.
time.
I'll get it. I get it.
that was the whole thing. I wanted to use a sling, and then the book was like, you can't use a sling.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah, which surprised me, honestly. Let me take a look quickly also while she's getting that at weapons.
Okay, and I will continue to ponder my dilemma of what do I want to double her proficiency in.
So they have, right, that's right, not sling. They do have, but they do have bow. I understand the logic of it. Okay, let me put it this way. To avoid a conflict with the rules, if you were like, I could see her getting into bows and arrows, I would also be willing to have you do that. However, I don't mind going a little bit out of the sort of standard. I don't know that they're going to be able. I understood the logic that Tari laid out for us last time about why they said they were keeping slings out of it. I don't know that I buy it. I think it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, even narratively. Like, just realistically, hobbits were exceptionally good, we are told explicitly, at throwing stones and at using slings when needed. So I understand mechanically, but I don't know that they can stay on that idea, frankly. Apologies to our wonderful sponsors, Free League, but I don't know that I buy into that theory.
Wait, so
Well, I mean, they did say that you can just use it from the regular player's handbook. It's
Right.
just like not intended, you know?
Yeah.
So the just to make sure I've understood this, it's like there is down the road a virtue that is this, and
Yes.
Yeah, basically it gives you like proficiency at throwing pebbles.
okay, well,
So it's up to you. I'm willing to bend if we need to and just use the general thing from the player's handbook D&D, but it's,
I think, whatever the virtue. Here's the thing. The funny thing is that when I look at the virtues as they are currently available for her, that she's not got yet, but like thinking down the line, there is a lot of. This is purely a fluke with the way that this character got rolled, but like the things that make the most sense for her are actually things that already overlap with her character sheet as it exists. Like there's like what is the one about marksmanship, like
sure at the mark. Yep.
Sure at the mark, right? I was like, oh, that seems great for her. You can increase your dexterity up to 20. She's already got her dexterity at 20. Sorry, but like there's but there's a bunch of other stuff there that I think looks quite cool. But there is that bit of overlap. So I feel like if that's the case already with some of the stuff that's laid out for her, I feel like maybe it shouldn't be that big a deal for her to already have a sling. When I think about her character, it makes more sense to me than archery, purely because archery is a more focused and studied skill, and this is a character who's a very short attention span.
Also, if she's a tumbler, frankly, it's going to be harder to be doing that with a quiver of arrows at the back or at the side, whatever.
Exactly.
As opposed to stones in a pouch. So I don't know. I am myself skeptical of the no sling thing. So hey, Tilted. So yeah, I'm fine with that if you want to do that. Also, frankly, not to put too fine a point on it, slings do less damage anyway. So
there we go.
So I'm okay.
And I think that makes like the idea. It's very hard for me to imagine Coriander stabbing someone, or like the idea of her doing piercing damage right now is very hard for me to imagine. It's a purely like feels based.
Could throw daggers too.
Yes, that
about
is
shuriken.
But
Shuriken.
that's the destiny for this character.
Improvised shuriken.
Improvised shuriken.
That's
no.
1,000 shuriken stare.
I just see her as a character who is more likely to want to like honestly do less damage to people and be more incapacitated. I know this is not the way D&D rules actually work.
No, I mean I get it.
But There is more ferocity involved in stabbing and piercing people in my head, but so
that's fine.
Cool. All right. So I think I will double the proficiency of acrobatics in that case. And so acrobatics and thieves' tools, and give her a sling. So I'm
good
changing.
Stuff. That is what I like to see. And so we'll start with a fellowship point rating of, if I have this right, 7 now, which is the 4 of you, 2 for Bilbo, plus the 1 additional because of Cal having taken the virtue that he did. So that brings us to 7. So that leads us, chat and everybody and players, to the fellowship phase. I do want to start with a quote from the book because, of course, it's well known to all of us, and it's one of my favorite quotes actually from the book as one of my favorite sneaky good quotes, like people don't think of it, which is, "They stayed long in that good house, 14 days at least, and they found it hard to leave." Which I remember even as a kid that stayed with me. That's being told when the dwarves first come to Rivendell and Bilbo when they're heading over the mountains into the Misty Mountains. So anyway, I like that quote. So that's what the fellowship phase is about. So fellowship phase is... Sorry? Yes.
Before you continue...
Yes.
Because of my friendly and familiar, our fellowship phase rating also increases by 1 because of me.
Oh, so you have a rating of 8? Man.
Wait, did you say friendly?
I'm gonna have to disallow inspirations in chat now. You just have so many fellowship points, don't know what to do with them.
I just put it into the Roll20 chat. Friendly and familiar. It's one of my feats that I took at the very beginning.
I love it. I heard you say friendly familiar, so I was just imagining you actually having got a pony.
Yeah.
But,
go ahead.
Just for a moment.
Just put a sheet over the 3 of you. And,
okay.
Quick sheet question one more time. Maybe this is just for Tren. How do I make the acrobatics be doubled in proficiency? Do I have to just remember that, or because it's not in? It doesn't have a little question mark
at the top. You've got the 3 tabs for character sheet, bio, and info, and abilities and attributes. I think.
Oh, okay. I've got core, bio, and spells. That one.
That might do. Let me double check. The thing.
Well, anyway, there's a little cogwheel. You need to click that. Yeah. And then you scroll down to the skillful options,
and then say expertise. Got it. Got it.
Okay,
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about this fellowship phase. So fellowship phases happen this time only after seasonal changes. So we had 2 adventures in spring. We're now between spring and summer, which means we get our first of what will probably end up being 2 fellowship phases, I think. And in this fellowship phase, there are differences in the Lord of the Rings role-playing system between regular fellowship phases and fellowship phases that happen at Yule. Now, in practice, we will probably not in the Shire Adventures campaign get a chance to do the Yule Fellowship because this whole campaign basically takes place within the course of a year. So we probably will not get to the Yule, but in Yule, there are a few things that happen in terms of like healing scars and things that would be more, with a somewhat longer campaign would be more apposite. But for this one, what we've got is the regular fellowship phases also are cool in their own ways. So first of all, set duration. So these usually cover a longer period of time. So we have ended, I would say, at the very beginning of May. And I will say that we will be beginning the next part of our adventure, which is, I believe, Most Excellent Fireworks. That is going to be happening in July. So basically, this is going to be taking place over the course of a couple of months, this fellowship phase, which means we describe events in broader strokes. And it means that days and weeks will pass while the player heroes relax or busy themselves with their own personal work or studies. So now that you know that it's going to be a fellowship phase of 6 weeks to 2 months, basically, is what we're looking at, then you players have to decide as a group where you're going to spend it. Now, in this case, it's a little bit more likely you would spend it in the Shire, but not entirely. It's quite possible that it could be spent in Bree. It's quite possible that it could be spent in another area that I am not yet aware of that you want to tell me. But it is something that you collectively have to decide. You don't have to all go to the same place, but you'll have to decide where you're going to spend the fellowship phase. And obviously, if all of a sudden you were like, I would really like to spend, my fellowship phase in Mordor. Well, we're going to have a discussion about that because not quite. So it
Because
needs
it
to be
does
something.
just walk into there.
So. Exactly. One does not simply take a fellowship phase in Mordor. That would not be a good idea. So you're going to have to decide what makes sense sort of narratively. Hey, Wispy, good to see you. So that's the second thing. So before I move on to the next stages, let me ask about that. The narration that you folks are going to be doing, this is a little bit of narration in terms of what you're doing, and it'll be more than me just going, hey, what about this? And then you answering, but hopefully you'll be able to talk a little bit further about what will be happening. So given that that's the case, I'll come back to what you want to say narratively, but with that in mind, that you're going to be describing what you do there, where would you like to be? So I'll ask each of you, I guess. Let me start with Titch, because I think Trent has a clear idea of where he wants to go. Where do you want to be? Or maybe not, I don't know, but like, where do you...
Titch has a job. He has to go back to Bree.
He's going back to Bree, definitely. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. What about you, Granny? Are you staying Shire bound?
Yeah, because she has work to do. So.
Okay.
like
Hold off on
treating,
what it is. I'll come back to you on
okay.
what the actual work is. Brad, what about Cal? Is Cal sticking there, or is Cal exploring? And by the way, when I say in the Shire, that doesn't mean you have to like stay in your house, okay? I just mean that like in the general vicinity that you want to be geographically.
Yeah, I think, well, Cal has a number of contacts for his like messaging duties and
Yep.
stuff. So he'll check in and, maybe even try to arrange one to Bree. If there's one available, he'll try to sort of claim it and join Titch on the road to Bree.
Okay. That's good. And Bree can act as a haven in this case, as can the Shire. So both of those would work.
Okay.
Coriander, what about you? I'm going to Rivendell.
Wait, can I?
I mean,
I'm going to go to
Try.
Barad-dûr.
be quite an involved adventure.
I actually think that there is something that there's like a project I can imagine Coriander working on.
Okay.
Which is.
And by the way, before you go on, it really can't be Rivendell because you all haven't visited there yet. So you do have to you have to have visited to it, I'm afraid. But you can tell me the project because maybe that involves going there at some point.
No. Okay, that's fine. No, the project involves going to spend some time with the Sackville Backenses and visiting specifically Lobelia.
Oh boy.
And
I think I see where this is going.
And the project is that while visiting, she sets a kind of a challenge for herself of replacing as many of Bilbo's spoons with other spoons that are not those, and without, crucially, like, I'm imagining this during a visit, no spoons go missing. They just get replaced. and one at a time until she has quite a complement of spoons. And then the plan is to, make a little gift of them back to Bilbo with a little, whichever of those spoons happen to want to stay with her, depending on their own preference, is that's the project.
What are you replacing the spoon, like that, for example? What are you replacing the spoons with? Like, presumably they're not like, I replace your sterling silver with this plastic,
No. They would be, what I want you to imagine is there's a little spoon, what's the word I'm looking for?
Spoonopedia.
Great tour. There's the great tour that gentlemen were supposed to go on to improve themselves by leaving Britain, going to the continent,
right?
Spending some time, going lots of different places. Sort of imagining that
I know the German word for that, but not the English one.
So the Grand Tour, or I think is what it's called. And I imagine that the spoons of Hobbiton are engaged in a bit of a Grand Tour. Just mysteriously, some spoons vanish and are replaced with other spoons. No one is short a spoon. I this is the thing that ends up happening.
No spoons are created or destroyed, right? It's the law of
they're
spoons.
just redistributed. They're just redistributed. So I'm imagining that basically at any given point in time, Coriander has a complement of spoons, like a lot of spoons.
Are any of these for the Matham house so you can somehow frame the Sackville Bagginses for the Matham? Because that would be very funny. Not
That would be very. I mean, like
I don't think you have enough spoons from the Matham house to have done that. But
I like the idea that Coriander has like a little portal, and she reaches through it to like this store of spoons back in her house
it's a
and
bag
pulls
of
it through.
spoons. Yeah, exactly,
a bag of
exactly.
holding spoons.
It only holds spoons though. Like that's the only thing.
Yeah.
Bag of
See,
spoons.
if spoons could be a finesse weapon, if she was like throwing spoons at people, dark white,
Oh.
but she
Hey,
wouldn't
if
do
a
that.
frying
because
pan can.
Well, it could be a shiv, right?
that's fair, you know.
Shiv.
But it's
Why
true.
a
like,
spoon, sire? It's blood.
Spoons.
It hurts more.
Yep, and you get to do,
Yeah.
and there are battle cries called "spoon," literally from the
From the
tick.
tick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I mean,
Yep.
you know.
That's true. Oh, that's true. No, I think that she would be sensitive to the fact that spoons don't want to be used that way most of the time, and so that just wouldn't really happen.
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
Interesting.
There's some,
Hey.
you know, spoons like people.
There are some dire
Preferences.
spoons
They have
out
dreams.
there.
They have ambition.
Some of them are more utensilitarian than others, and that's just that's
Oh.
how it goes.
One of them actually drains the life out of people. It is the Witherspoon. It is just.
Wow. Wow. God, no, you know what? I'm taking it. I'm keeping it. Coriander knows the legend of the Witherspoon.
There you go.
And can Tren get negative inspiration for that?
Dispiration or whatever it would be.
Why are
There
our viewer numbers dropped to zero?
inspiration.
There's the Witherspoon and there's the Witherspoon.
Whither
Witherspoon.
With a
whither
And
my
the
spoon.
mythical Witherspoon allows people to travel simultaneously from great distances. It's mythical, like mithril, a thing that definitely doesn't exist in this world. So anyway, point is, yes, that she is in a project of replacing the stolen Bilbo spoons with spoons of similar weight, appearance, density, but that actually want to be there or did not want to be where they were sufficiently that she moved them. That's how it goes. Equitable redistribution of spoons, and that's her plan. That's
I
her
love
plan.
it. I love the equitable redistribution of spoons. Okay, so Sackville Baggins is, but still in the Shire for three of you, and then Bree for Titch. Okay, so that leads us to spiritual recovery. Now, this does not apply to any of you because you have not yet gained any shadow points. The campaign is not called for said things yet, although, as I say, who knows what will happen down the line. So we don't have to worry about that. So what we worry about now, last of all, are the undertakings. Now, undertakings are done a little bit differently here than they are in AIME, because in AIME, you would each be able to take an activity during a fellowship phase. But here, the only fellowship phases where that happens is during Yule, which is the end of a year. So it's that specific one. So the fellowship phase undertakings here are ones that you have to choose, and the way it works is the company as a group will choose one single undertaking, and then the company is entitled to choose one additional undertaking, selecting it from among those that are listed as free based on the callings or proficiencies of the player heroes. So during an ordinary fellowship phase, the company will choose a maximum of 2 undertakings. And in the Yule Fellowship phase, you would pick a number of undertakings equal to the number of player heroes plus 1 during Yule. So you'd be getting 5 during Yule, but you're going to be getting 2 during this one. I should note, by the way, as I talk about this, that you always have to select different undertakings during a regular fellowship phase. So it can't be the same one. And I'm going to go through these because this will be useful, I think, for everybody in chat, but also all of you folks to decide how you want to do things. So one example of an undertaking is to gather rumors. There are news of strange things that happen in the world. There are tidings of a gathering darkness, of distant wars, of the flight of elves, legends and old songs, and the like. And player heroes who are gathering rumors try to separate facts from fireside tales and to gather stories that may prove useful in their adventures. So if you choose this undertaking, you will get a rumor from yours truly, from me. Until the next fellowship phase, player heroes in the company, that's all of you, will have advantage on intelligence checks related to the rumor. Now, a rumor can be a story about an individual or a place or a coming event. They can point specifically to something that the company can explore or prevent or aspire to achieve. Or a rumor can be something specific that the player hero is inquiring about, like where is the spoon of Lobelia Sackville Baggins's the prime or whatever, and is directly related to the current adventuring circumstances of the company. So one option is gathering rumor, which you do as a group. Okay, that's one possibility. And I'm sorry, before I go on, also, you are also free to buy and sell adventuring gear and weapons and armor that are available in the location at your destination. So both in Bree and the Shire, basic weapons will be made available to you, which you can purchase. And I can, like the sling that we were talking about, Mal, for Coriander. So I just wanted to mention that. That's not an undertaking, you just get that. Okay, so one of them is gather rumors. Second one is meet patron. Now, you already have one of these patrons, which is that it is Bilbo. However, you have a new person who has emerged that you just met at the end of the last session, which is Balin, who could be a patron for you. So you could choose that as the idea of becoming a patron, and I can come back to that if need be. But basically the way this works is it revolves around the player hero asking for some sort of assistance. Sometimes they accept a task requested by the patron in return. But there is a little bit of good news here, which is that a company, including a messenger, dun, 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 can choose this activity as a free undertaking. So what that means here is that you can choose an undertaking, and then you'll be able to also pick this. So you get one undertaking of any type except the ones that are only during Yule. You then get a second one, which is listed as a free undertaking, and this is one of those free undertakings. So this can be one of the 2 undertakings total that you choose as a company, is to make Balin a patron, in which case Cal would be prominent in this, and we'd come back to how that all works if you want to do that. Okay, so that's number 2. 3 is ponder storied and figured maps, speaking of Cal. Middle-earth has changed since the time when lore masters spent long hours drawing maps of every known corner of the world. Today's maps show mostly white spaces beyond the borders of realms of men, dwarves, and elves, but looking at them is time well spent for a traveling hero. A player hero choosing this undertaking studies every map and scroll of lore they can find to learn as much as possible about the perils the companies may face while on the journey. And what that means is that until the next fellowship phase, player heroes in the company, all player heroes, not just the one who does this, have advantage on pathfinding checks. So that could definitely have value, and that sounds like something which may or may not be up Cal's alley as something to consider. Again, the company would choose it, but it might be Cal spearheading it. Okay, then we have one which is singing songs, which is and singing songs. Oh wait, I'll come back to that.
That's adventuring.
Sorry, that's adventuring phase. I'm wrong. Sorry, I don't know why they put that in the fellowship phase when that's really odd. That's strange.
It's got the red band.
No, I know, but like, why put it there in the first place?
I guess it's because you've got write a song there. So
that's why. Yes. Okay, I hadn't come to it yet. Okay, I'll come to write a song in a minute. Okay, the other ones are Yule. So next one is strengthen fellowship. This is basically just increasing fellowship rating by 1 until the next fellowship phase. Your fellowship rating phase, honestly, is already pretty high, so I don't know that you need to bring it up to 9, but you could do that if you wanted, because of the bond you have as a company.
A 30 fellowship rating.
I mean, good grief. OP rating. Okay, last 2. Study magical items. When heroes come into possession of a strange ring, an ancient jewel, or a rune-scored staff, they might now know much about the properties of such an item, especially if they're not immediately observable. Now, a company which has a treasure hunter, and you do, could do this as one of the free undertakings you take. So this could be one of those second undertakings that you do. And the classic one, the example that I would think of here, is Bull Roarer's Club. You have Bull Roarer's Club, that is a magic item, and that would give you lots of information about it if you chose to do that. Last one.
Bilbo took it?
Say again. Well, Bilbo did, but this is a way to. This would allow you to study it though, and maybe get value from it, gain access to it. Yeah. Last one is write a song. And this is choosing an undertaking to compose a song, choosing whether it will be a lay, a song of victory, or a walking song. Don't need an ability check, you just get to write it. This new composition is added to a company's list of songs, and once that's done, then during the adventuring phase, you may sing a song and rouse yourselves to pursue your goals with renewed strength of purchase. You can only use one song per adventuring phase, but a lay would give you advantage on the first ability check that you make before the end of a council, discussing with people. Song of Victory, that's used during combat to gain advantage on the first attack roll they make before the end of their next turn, and affects all of you. Walking Song, all of them who can hear the song during a journey gain advantage on your next fatigue saving throw. And again, that affects all of you equally. So you could write a song, and if you do that, we'll talk more about how that works. So, to summarize, you will have Gather Rumors, Meet Patron, Ponder Storied and Figured Maps, Strengthen Fellowship, and Study Magical Items. I beg your pardon, Study Magical Items and Write a Song. And of those, the ones that you can choose second would be, because you don't have a warden. Are any of you proficient in investigation?
Let me double check that.
Hey, Nurgle.
No.
I am not.
Assuming Cal. Oh, you're not? Okay.
Titch, Granny.
Nope, I have
No,
explore. and
Granny isn't.
travel,
Okay,
but
so-
not investigation.
So Gather Rumors then would not be a free undertaking. You'd have to do that as your sort of one non-free undertaking. Meet Patron, because of Cal, is a free one, so you could do that as your second one. Ponder Storied and Figured Maps. You have a Scholar, because you have Granny, so that is a free undertaking. You do that as your second. Strengthen Fellowship, you have a captain, so you could do Strengthen Fellowship as a free undertaking. Study Magical Items, because you have a treasure hunter, is also a free undertaking. And the last one is, are any of you proficient in performance?
No.
Nope.
Okay, so then Write a Song would have to be the non-free, the one that you do first. So you
Wait,
can
what
either...
does free mean?
Free
Like,
means-
Yeah, I'm very confused.
So the
by
way
that.
it works is that you get two undertakings. One of those undertakings can be any of the ones that I just read out to you.
Whether or not you have the precondition. For
That's
it.
right. The other undertaking, though, you could not take Gather Rumors or Write a Song because you do not have those proficiencies within the group. So you'd have to do that as your whether or not you have it thing.
Okay.
So if any of you really are excited about the Write a Song or Gather Rumors, you'd want to do that one first.
I think it's a nomenclature thing. I'm like, it should read free as bonus, basically.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
a bonus that gets unlocked based on who is in the group.
I think they said free because they don't want you to think of it as additional. It's just like one that you can do regardless of who's in the group. Yeah. So what do you think, company?
Oh,
Wait,
Cal's
that's the
jumping up
opposite.
and down.
Sorry, I'm sorry to be stuck on the nomenclature thing, but if it's like the one that you can do regardless of who's in your group should be the free one.
You would think so. Yeah, I guess. That's not how they name
So
it, though.
anyway, it's fine.
Yeah.
Notes to give to our generous sponsors. I would love to pitch the Study Magical Item one, partly from the momentum of just having done having achieved that staff, but partly, and this is very selfish, just like without knowing that this is how the fellowship phase worked, I had Coriander's whole deal be like listening to objects and stuff, and I think that she would, I said the lobelia thing before this part, but actually I quite like the idea that she would become fascinated by Bilrora's staff instead and just like spend a lot of time listening to it and looking at it and just kind of like learning, studying
asking
it.
questions.
Yeah.
Exactly, because like she is not a studious person, but she has very rapt attention when she is fascinated by something, and so talking about her listening to it makes more sense, or like talking to it, having a conversation with this object.
I'll give you another thing about this too, by the way, which is that Titch, when you did the reward thing that you added, did you made it keen, but that doesn't make it magical, or does it?
Correct. It does not make
Does
it
not make it
magical.
magical.
Makes it easier for me to get a critical.
I don't know that any of us have any other magical items of any kind, or any of you have any magical items besides the Bull Roarer one, right?
I
map-
assume
the map
that
is
the
not-
staff that Granny got a while ago isn't magic.
I don't think so, but I want to double check because actually what it says is
Silver
you-
topped walking stick.
okay, yeah, no, that would just be
allegedly dwarven
silver.
made.
Because you would be able to learn the
Silver, I could use
qualities
it on
of
ghosts.
all magical items. So not just one. So if you had more than one, you could also do that. You don't have more than one. You still get a lot of info about the Bull Roarer.
For
one,
now.
so, for now.
Yeah, for now. I love that idea. I also like the idea of composing a song. I think that would be quite fun.
Why? Why would you?
Yeah, there's no reason whatsoever. I know. I do like. I think it makes sense if we're going to be doing a lot of walking to have a walking song. I think. Again, I'm drawn to the narrative thing more than the bonus thing. Like, can't imagine any of these hobbits writing a combat song right now. But or a lay for that. I could imagine Cal writing a lay potentially, or Titch.
Let's get down to business.
Yeah.
That's the combat song.
Yeah. But a walking song I could imagine. But anyway, those are the ones that appeal to me, and gather rumors, I guess. But given that they just obtained a quite cool object, narratively to me it makes sense that Coriander would want to ponder it.
What do you think, Brett? What do you got for Cal's thoughts about it?
Cal is leaping at the map.
Yeah,
Investigate.
I got out of.
Oh yeah, of course. And we have, this is the thing, we have obtained an ancient map, and we have obtained magic staff. Like, those things make a lot of sense to me.
It would be kind of cool to have both. Like, I don't know if this fits narratively, but like the map that we found might point us to something else to go investigate, and then we just got this club too, and they don't have to be related or anything, but it'd be kind of neat if our first two adventures advised our fellowship phase here.
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot.
I agree. So
so
Tari, what are
Granny
your
doesn't
thoughts?
have any one of these in mind. She would just like do whatever Coriander would want to do.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, like, none of these are like something that Granny would like be interested or motivated in doing right now. So
Well, she's
like Coriander comes like along and like, Granny, you want to do a thing? Then Grace's gonna be like, yeah, sure.
So I'm totally
Sounds
imagining
good.
like her doing that with the staff, but Cal doing that with the map, because it requires Granny to do it, right? Like, it's the scholar one.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking too. Like, it's kind of neat because
Yeah, sure.
Cal's all about these relationships, and he would love to learn from Granny, via the map, because she's the scholar that's going to be opening up that possibility.
Let me pitch it this way then. If you're going to do that, I think what this sounds like to me is we have about 50 minutes left to do this. This is perfect. It would be a dual 2 versus 2 role play, or 2 and 2. So it would be Cal and Granny, and Coriander and Titch. Because Coriander and Titch would be working on this thing mostly because I want you two to set it up narratively, but my impression would be that Titch would be the weapons expert who would be sort of looking at this as Coriander's going through it. And for Cal, you just said, Brad, like learning from Granny about like how we actually work this together. So that's what I want to suggest that idea as.
I like that a lot.
Okay. So
I think that sounds great.
So I don't know if you heard that, Tari, but so the idea
No, I did
is
not hear anything.
it's a 2-on-2 thing. So the idea is going to be you and Cal are going to be doing half of the next 50 minutes or so before we wrap. You will be doing that, talking about maps and working together on the map and stuff like that we've discovered. So the ponder, storied, and figured maps. Then Coriander and Titch are going to be working collectively on the Bull Roarer exploration. The magic item exploration, because of Titch's knowledge of weapons, and because it means we get a chance for Coriander to go find Titch again, which is just gold. So I love doing that anyway. So that was the idea, if you are cool with that, Tari, with that premise.
Yeah, that works.
Okay, so the 2 ones that we're doing then are ponder, storied, and figured maps.
Wait, one question.
Yeah.
Because I figured out the thing about the herbal remedies.
Okay.
I need to do that during the
you found
fellowship phase, but it doesn't say. I don't think it counts as an undertaking.
It doesn't.
I think it's just a thing that you
Yep.
do.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep,
so
yep,
I
yep.
just get that.
Herbal
Okay.
remedies equally proficiency bonus. Okay, that's the herbalism kit, right? That's the thing I noted there, but it didn't have the details behind it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I don't
Great.
know where I found these. Like, I wrote down page 74, but it's not there, so
Okay.
I don't know where I got that.
All right. So let me start then with, if you're cool with this, I want to start with Cal and with Granny. So ponder, storied, and figured maps chat again means that a player hero choosing this undertaking is going to study every map and scroll of lore they can find to learn as much as possible about the perils the company may face while on a journey. So, and a company, including a scholar, Granny, can choose this activity as a free undertaking. So, Cal and Granny, how do you I want you two to basically structure this about how you want this to start. I imagine it's Cal coming to Granny first, but then I want you to like take it from there in terms of how this actually works, and then I'll give you the mechanical benefit that you'll get from it.
One more question. Actually,
Yes.
I also have a point of exhaustion. What happens with that during fellowship?
Yes. The point of exhaustion, did you have 2 or you had 1? Because I think you had 1, right? That gets taken care of with the long rest, so you can that can go away. It's more when you get multiple ones you have ones. Okay. So let me start with the 2 of you. So Cal, if you're going to visit Granny, how does this all look?
Well, okay, so I'm assuming that the map, I can't remember if we brought it with us, but it's sort of Bilbo's at this point. But
right.
So when we come back, I imagine I'd spend, the night or a couple of days at Bilbo's and stuff, and I would probably spend a bit of time on that map specifically, like maybe even comparing it to some other known maps. And I'm thinking he stumbles on something, and I don't know what that something would be, and I can't remember, like what does this do? What do we accomplish once we do this?
The mechanical benefit of this is that until the next fellowship phase, player heroes in the company will have advantage on all pathfinding checks.
Oh, okay.
And it might be even no, you tell me. I don't want to
well, I'm just thinking, maybe Cal finds a discrepancy of some sort, and it relates to something that Granny had mentioned she had been to back in the day or something like this, and that's why I go to her, and maybe it causes us to let's go take a little trip, Granny, that type of thing, and check out the reality or something like that. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, Granny would just grab her basket and take along.
Time to get some herbs, some berries.
Do you have let me ask a question to facilitate this too. Do you have a thought about what you might have found that Granny might have knowledge of? Like, because you talked about the idea it might have been a place she went before. Are we talking like a little copse of trees where, that you hadn't seen before, or like a secret path that maybe Granny would know, but that's been covered over by brambles, or that, Granny's like, oh yeah, I saw that 50 years ago, but we made sure we hit it, and like here, that sort of thing.
Looking at a map of the Shire, I really like from Lord of the Rings, like that side trip to Buckland and Brandy Hall and stuff like that.
Yep.
So maybe something around Buckland, maybe even touching on the Old Forest.
All right, I'll move my map over.
But I don't know what is the idea that you're sort of using a map as a way to advance your general knowledge of pathfinding. Is that kind of the deal?
That's exactly what it is. And I think, if the idea is that everybody knows, so I'm actually using, this is convenient because it allows us to take a look at this map. So if we zoom in here, let me move my dice roller. Hold on a second.
I have an idea.
So, okay, I'll let you give that in just a sec. But if you were to move in here, you've got, Brandywine Bridge, Old Forest, Hobbiton, Michelle Delving. We know about all that, right? But there were areas, for example, that we went into where we had, let me move the amazing art of Tari out of the way here, that you went up to that Kingsbridge area, right? Where you had never actually, it had almost been kind of abandoned, and yet here is where this club is sitting, like above the hearth inside this freaking house, right? That's the kind of thing that you would expect to see a lot of in areas of the map that the maps don't cover. So it's things like that, lonely hillsides that maybe, provide different paths, or even like marks that the rangers left that the hobbits just thought were like random marks, but are actually things that help guide you on your journey. That's another thing that might be a part of this mix. So that might be another thing to think about. So now, having said that, I know you said you had an idea.
Okay. Well, as I was looking at like Buckland and Brandy Hall and the Old Forest and stuff, there's the hedge that divides Buckland and Brandy Hall from the actual forest and stuff. And I can't remember the lore in the Lord of the Rings of whether or not that's sort of it's almost an impassable thing, and it's kind of difficult to get like through the hedge.
Yes,
so
and I have
I'm
some
almost
details
thinking
about
like
that too, but I'll go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just like, just brainstorming a bit. Like maybe there's a spot marked on this map that we recovered that shows an opening, a passage in the hedge. And Granny had mentioned spending some time in there, maybe by Newberry or Crick Hollow or something like that. And so I asked her about it, and maybe she even recollects something like that, but she didn't go through it or something along those lines.
Oh yes, I have been here back when I was a
You
young
remember that,
lass.
Granny?
Not too long ago, of course, and she was.
That was only 70 years ago. That was
In the in the immediate near future, recent past.
Yes, my friends and I, we once went on an excursion that went by here. So yeah, I've been here, but it's been a hot minute.
Where are you? By the way, where's the hedge is over to the should be over to the east, right?
Yeah, it's directly east of Newberry, Crick Hollow, and Brandy Hall, and it divides all that stuff from the Old Forest. So it's along the very western edge of the Old Forest.
Right, so be in the east farthing, I believe.
Yep.
Okay, I was just curious about that.
/ into Bree, because it's kind of close to Bree. It's over the Brandy Water.
That's true. Okay. So, right, Deep Hollow, and wanted to...
Yeah, so it's actually a good bit east of the East Farthing, in fact. So it might not be formally part of the Shire.
Yeah, it might not. But
here, I'm gonna paste in the map that I'm using, because I think it's from one of the original Lord of the Rings printings.
Yep. See this stuff. Let's see. So yeah, go ahead and print. Or you said you're gonna paste it into.
I put it in chat in the Zoom.
Okay. Right. So I'll move that up there. Yes. So Buckleberry Ferry, blah blah blah, and then the hedge, right at the edge of the Old Forest, right. So it is slightly outside of that, but it is the Brandywine and then Deep.
Or it doesn't have to be that far. It could be something in Woody End or somewhere else, or even in the North Farthing.
And your journeys may take you over to other things like the Hills of Scary, which are up on the northern side of that. And one thing that I would note oops, sorry, very loud. Very loud. There we go. Sorry about that.
By the way, how much longer are we going? Because I'm really, really, really tired.
No, I know. We have a schedule to go another about 35 minutes, half hour, 35 minutes. That's why I started you first.
Yes.
So that was the reason. But you do the best you can, Tari. If you have to bail, I understand. That's why I have had to start doing this, and then finish up with Mel and Trent. So I guess the question is, as you're figuring this out and kind of going this way, I would ask, I guess, Granny. You said that it was something that you and your friend saw. Is there a way, or I guess what I would ask is, when you found this area of the map, was this an area that, or this area of the Shire to which the map refers? Are you surprised that the map shows this thing? Are you surprised that the map reveals it? Or is it one of those things where it's like, oh my God, how did anyone else find this? Or it's kind of freaky that someone else found it and that's not good? Or like, this map must be very ancient indeed if it's, like that sort of thing. Like, what's your reaction to it?
Neither of those. Instead, it's more like, I had completely forgotten about this. And then she seems to drift off into memories of ye olden days.
I see. Okay. Let's see, as you're walking around this way. Because this is up by the Eastern Road, right? It actually comes up. through there. Let me have Cal, please. Let me make sure I got the road in the right spot. Yes, okay. Let me have Cal roll a 12-sided die for me, please. D12.
Oops, here we go. D12?
Yes.
8.
Okay. All right. So, as you were all deciding this, and you're sort of looking at this area of the map, first of all, you can see that what Granny has remembered is true, that it's a spot that you had not seen before. But the thing that's important about it that sort of strikes you is that the reason that you can now see this, and you couldn't see it before, like somehow it's revealed, is that there seem to have been some trees that have been felled in this area. And not a lot of them, not like a mass cutting or anything, but there seems to have been someone cutting down a couple of trees. And you can actually, as you're sort of looking around and seeing that, you hear a kind of a a regular chopping sound coming from basically a little bit down the east road and near this copse of trees. I would say like ish right there.
Okay. So we'll go and investigate. Head towards the noise.
And when you get down there, you both see that there is what is clearly a dwarf, white-haired, who is kind of staring at a tree, and there's an axe wedged into it, and it's like maybe a fourth of the way cut into, and he is currently cross-legged on the ground and just glaring at the axe that's stuck in the tree. And next to him is this very unconcerned mule, which is looking the other direction and is just kind of chewing some straw.
So,
And the dwarf
like,
is just
relatively
staring
to
at it.
Hobbiton, where are we?
You
Like, can
are
you
pretty,
ping on
you're
the map?
fairly far east, right along the riverside. So here's Hobbiton, right? This is where you are, where the map basically indicated there was some new stuff. And indeed, you have found areas that you would not have found before, because when you were here, Granny, they were more forested. There's been some more settlement here, so some of the wood has come down naturally, but also more recently, apparently, there is some wood that has been cut down, some trees that have been cut down more recently. And again, I don't want to overdo it. I'm not saying this was massively, like, devastated or anything, but yeah.
And is it just the lone dwarf? I don't see anybody else.
Correct, and the mule.
Yeah. Well, I'll hail him as we head that way, and hello there.
And he doesn't even look at you. Aye. Shoddy craftsmanship. I should expect nothing less.
What are you doing here?
And he kind of like looks over his shoulder. Well, I'm trying to cut some wood. I have some business out east that I needed some wood for. And I made the mistake of going into that grove over there. And he points in the direction of the old forest, which to be clear is not a grove. And he points over in that direction. He's like, that grove. But the thing was a waste of time. The trees there. There was something wrong about them. I tried cutting into one of them, and it made a noise. That's all I'll say. Like it was in pain or something. A tree, imagine. And it's dulled the edge of my axe. Well, look at yourself. That thing couldn't cut through paper the way it is. And you can look and see that indeed the edge of the blade that is not stuck in the tree is like notched badly and like,
Have you tried sharpening your axe before using it?
If I try to sharpen this blade, the thing's going to break apart entirely. I'm trying to do what I need to do and head home, or figure out a way to avoid having to buy a new one. No offense meant, but finding an axe in these parts that does any good isn't going to be much use. Oh, if I wanted a starter axe for a child of 50, perhaps, but not anything like this.
What do you need the wood for? if I may ask?
Well, I'm planning on building a cabin. You see, I'm a woodcutter by trade, and a woodworker, I should say, by trade. And I like living near places where the wood's available to be found. I have got some work. They've asked me to help build some bridges over there. Your Brandywine Bridge up there needs a little bit of attention, and so the Brandybucks themselves have employed me. I can't do that if I can't get the raw material I need, and I can't do that if I'm using this dull piece of and he starts some dwarven swears that are probably really terrible.
So you are a professional woodcutter
Yes.
for hire, and you don't have a functioning axe.
No, I had one until I went into there, I'm telling you. It was cursed, that place. And he waves again in the direction of the old forest.
Well, you might be a little bit new here. Have you come recently from the east?
Aye. Before I lived more closer to Mirkwood, and there I would find wood not in that cursed place, but in the trees that grew outside of its borders, and never had any problem with it. But, well, my cousin told me I could head this way, and that I might find plenty of work for someone with my particular set of skills. So I came out this way, and indeed, there are a lot of friendly folk, and some good beer to be found out here. But what there isn't to be found are some good metal blades and axes. At least none that I've been able to find. I all keep hearing about old hoes. I ran into someone, some young, what do you call himself, Farmer Cricket, Morgan, Mago, or something, and he said something about he could make me a hoe, or a shovel. What do I need a shovel for? I'm a woodcutter. I'm a woodworker. I'm not a digger in some mine. Why, just because I'm a dwarf? His mustache, whenever he talks, by the way, his mustache and beard like bristle furiously, even though you don't totally know how he's able to do that.
So, but even though the trees over there are, as you say, cursed, and these trees are fine in comparison?
Oh, I think these trees seem totally normal. At least they're not groaning when I hit them as if I'm actually hurting them. Instead, but they seem like they'd work with a normal axe. But now I can't cut anything with this thing. Of course, I should have brought a spare, but the problem is that, well, when I was crossing over the mountain, my mule here, and he points at him, he's very steady, you know, but he ended up dropping something. He got spooked by something in the road. Next thing you know, the axe falls off down the side of the cliff we were walking. Well, I didn't much feel like diving in after it, so there was my spare. And besides, I had this one that's never failed me. And you know what's even worse? You know the name of this thing? And he looks at the axe, and you hear almost a little waver of weeping coming into his voice. This was Bark Cutter. My grandfather gave it to me, and now it's a bark failer. And he just sort of shakes his head.
Surely
and
this
the mule,
axe has no bite left and only bark, so...
He kind of nods. The mule behind him sort of brays somewhat sadly.
Yeah, well,
I like
you should probably just go back to Hobbiton, or maybe to Bree if you don't trust the smiths in Hobbiton for some reason, and just get yourself one of your so-called beginner axes for children of 50.
And he kind of like, go ahead, Gal.
If I may, I might also advise that you don't go by the old forest. Much like Mirkwood, these trees are quite old. The forest has a soul of sorts and doesn't take kindly to strangers coming and chopping trees down. I'd find other sources of wood for your projects.
And he says, a soul? Trees? What kind of trees do you grow here in the Shire?
The kinds that bite back when you put something sharp on them, as you can definitely see.
And he says, do you mean, they're not animals, you know. I didn't think there'd be pain involved. And he seems sort of like, kind of, you know, you could see his worldview shifting inside his head. And he's just like, all right, but is there anyone you could recommend that might have a better than just like the simplest axe? I mean, if I'm going to get people thinking they're making an axe by making a shovel, we're going to be in trouble. I can't imagine who actually can use those. Who uses a shovel to cut wood?
Granny would probably know somebody in Hobbiton. I mean, she knows just about everybody since she's
I
like
think-
a local healer.
I think quite possibly. So let me ask Granny, are you willing to send him to like the best of this best smith, which admittedly, hobbit smiths, nothing against hobbits, but like they're not, you know, they don't usually, but they could make ones. They certainly do cut wood, so they could absolutely get like a good smith. Is that what
Well,
you would
there's probably not many smiths in Hobbiton.
Not
The
many.
place is not that big. And I'm assuming the ones that, if there are multiple ones, that probably specialize in various stuff, right?
do? That's right.
So yeah, she would like recommend the one that's like known to make like tools and stuff, such as axes.
And okay, so you say all that, and then he says, all right, well, I'm grateful to you. What are you all doing out here?
Well, we're just
Granny looks at Cal.
yeah. We found an old map, and it showed us this area, and it didn't seem quite right. And I'm a bit of a map maker myself, and I just wanted to find the truth of it. So here we are.
Oh, a map, you say? If it's not a secret, you wouldn't mind my taking a look quickly.
And I would have a copy. I wouldn't have the original.
Yeah.
that
you hand
so I-
out to him.
I will actually show him the copy I made before we left.
And he kind of pours it over, and he pulls out, he says, dratted getting aged. My eyes don't see the way they did when I was 120. And he gets up and he goes over to the saddlebags on the mule, and he kind of says, all right, there. All right. And he kind of is like doing something, and then he turns around and he has these little glasses that are like right on the edge of the nose now. And he's like, all right, now, let me see. So he goes over and he looks at the map, and he kind of, oh, you're talking about there? And he points at the area that you have seen, Cal, that you sort of stuck out to you and Granny.
Yeah, that's the one.
Ah, well, there's a reason for that. Is because, despite what the hobbits might think, you weren't the first ones in this area. In fact, there was a time when dwarves used to wander all around here. We didn't just build bridges then, no. There was a lot more going on. All right, you see this here, and he gets up and he kind of wrenches his axe out of the tree, and like does so, and it's kind of like, all right, look, and he kind of like starts to hack a little bit, and he's like, any of you have like a dagger, a knife, something that just can do little cuts? Anything?
Yeah, Granny reaches down to her belt and hands him like a little knife that she usually uses to cut up apples.
All right, perfect. And he goes over to the tree and he says, look. And he carves this strange looking kind of looks almost like a strange S-shaped letter or rune. And he says, there. Now, what do you think of that?
Do you recognize it?
No, yeah, and he sort of waits for a reaction, and you're all just as... He's like, that's the... And he says, this is a dwarvish rune. And the dwarven workers back in the day made sure that they kept special ways to get in and out of places without being seen. Used to be much wilder here in the Shire, you know. Wasn't always just beer and 50-year-old starter axes. There was a time when it was a lot more difficult to live here. And when that was, well, that's when we made sure we had secret paths in and out. You can't see it this way, but... And so he goes to another tree that's sitting behind it, and he carves out another little thing, and carves out another little thing, and he says, right, you look at those 3 in a row, and you see 3 different symbols. But, and he physically, Cal, moves you, and then Granny shifts you over so that you're looking past the 3 trees as if they're in a line. So it's like tree, tree, tree. And suddenly you see that it has created what essentially looks almost like 2 runes and an arrow pointing in a certain direction. And he says, this was the secret. You had the right way to look at it, and you went the right way. You'd be able to find where secret paths and safe places might be. But you wouldn't be able to know it unless a dwarf showed you. Some people said, I can find the right way. And maybe you could, but I don't know if it'd be possible. And he takes you, Cal, and he says, if you don't mind, and then turns you around 3 times, and then faces you in the direction. He says, "All right, take a look for yourself." And Cal, when you sort of look over, you no longer see what he's pointing at least not until you go back to the exact spot that he told you to look. And then when you turn around again, you can then see these 3 things lined up in a certain way. Anyone else would not even have noticed these anything more than maybe like notches in trees. And so what he goes on to explain is that this basically is when dwarves have marked certain areas of woods, there are secret paths and or like hideaways, or sometimes areas to sanctuaries, not mechanical in the game sanctuaries, but like places of safety where you might be able to find a place that no one else would have been able to discover. And apparently this isn't just confined to the Shire, but to other places where the dwarves of and around the Misty Mountains and those that live near Mirkwood and beyond would sometimes leave these kinds of paths, and you may still be able to find them in some of the forests of the world, even smaller ones. And so, yeah.
Cal, he's just kind of like eyes open, jaw falls down a little bit, and he takes out his leather-bound journal where he jots down notes and a few pictures of landscapes, stuff like that. And he starts taking sort of a picture, a sketch of these 3 trees, the surrounding lands, and the ruin itself. So he tries to capture that for a moment.
And he says, the dwarf turns to you, Granny, and says, also, you might find in some of those places, for I can see that this knife hasn't been used for much large wood cutting, and he hands it back to you with a bow. He says, there may be some times where you'll find specific herbs you might be looking for. You see, my wife used to be one who would be interested in the herbs and the gathering of that kind. She had the skill of it. And then he kind of sort of shakes his head and he says, but, well, that was more than a century ago, but I still remember what it was like in those days, gathering some things with her. In some of these places, you might find spots where there might be herbs of a particular variety or type. Can't promise it, but you might find some areas there that might help you if you find this thing the way that I've shown you how to do.
Indeed.
And he nods.
So Cal finishes up and stuff, and he says, if you're headed back, why don't we bring you? Well, I'll buy you a drink, and maybe you could tell me about your journey here. I mean, he's real curious about, where he came from and what he came here for and what he's planning on doing and stuff like that. He's trying to just chat him up, and maybe we can find a good blacksmith and introduce you while we're there.
I admire that greatly, and I'd take you up on your offer. And my manners haven't been good ever since this blessed axe has failed me, finally. My name is Baris Barkcleaver, and it's a great pleasure. And he bows real low. And this one, he looks up at the mule, was called Steady, and the mule goes, "Yeehaw," mournfully. He's like, maybe not anymore. Anyway, if you have any extra slops that you can throw the way of this beast, and the mule kind of looks at you again, hopefully, I'd appreciate that.
I'm sure scraps and stuff will find, but I'll make formal introductions to Caloran Fallowhide at your service, and this is Granny Lavender, and I forget Lavender's last name.
Hopesinger.
Hopesinger.
And he nods and he says, well, it was a good meeting anyway. I'm glad that we've discovered each other, even if I've lost my woodworking material for the moment. All right, let's be off then.
Would be working right now if it wouldn't be damaged.
He nods and he says, I
No,
can
not
see
in
you've got
character.
the way of the joke. No, I know. Anyway,
Didn't do the voice.
I know it's true. So he heads off in that direction with you. Okay. Good stuff, and I will let Tari, if Tari needs to go sleep, if you don't mind just covering over your camera, Tari. I know you are exhausted.
I have to turn off the PC.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Because otherwise I need to leave it running overnight, which isn't great.
That is okay. I will move over to the cams only, and I will recapture when you do that. Where should people
Okay.
find you, Tari?
On Tumblr and on Instagram at TariTunes, where I post my drawings and stuff. So go check that out.
Awesome. And
So thanks for having me, and have fun. Have more fun without me.
we'll
Not too much
do
fun without me.
all kinds of the fun. Sleep well, Tari, and we'll see you soon.
Night. Bye bye.
Okay, and just a moment whilst I get these corrected. And then we will move to Coriander and to Titch. Okay, and so you got the mechanical bonus, Brad, that I mentioned, the pathfinding advantage. Also, one other thing I would have you add, and I should mention this to Tari as well. Yes, all players until the next fellowship phase will get advantages on pathfinding. Advantage on it. Yeah.
Advantage.
Yep. Everybody will.
Okay.
So the other thing I want to note too is that in certain circumstances, I don't know how to put this in a way that's going to make sense. So I guess I'll just say, under certain circumstances, there may be some special medicinal herbs. I'm not trying to make a joke. That could be found that may be available to you when using some of the secret paths found this way. So basically just if you're looking for certain herbs, it may be that this bonus that you've just gained will help with that as well. But I can't give you more details unless the time comes when you're looking for such herbs, and they may or may not, but I wanted to mention that.
Okay.
Okay. Good stuff. All right, so that is Brad is captured, and I just have Trend to do. Okay, so we have about 20 minutes, and in that 20 minutes, I want to see how Coriander is going to, and I assume it's Coriander coming to Titch is my guess. You're going to Bree then, I'm guessing, Coriander, to do this?
Yeah.
So tell me what this looks like when, first of all, Titch, where are you when Coriander tracks you down?
You're home.
Yeah.
Okay, so but I mean, like, are you, like, what time of night, that, all that kind of stuff, I guess. What are we looking at?
He's mostly been on evening guard duty, so it's like pretty crepuscular. It's like right after sunset.
Yep. There's a knock at Titch's door.
He puts his flagon of whatever the hell he's drinking. It could be tea, it could be beer. It's hard to tell at this range. And so he goes over to the door and he puts his hand on it for a second, opens it and looks around.
There's no one there.
Closes the door and turns around to head back to the table.
Coriander is sitting there and He's just like sniffing at his flagon going, And then when he reacts like that, she's like, Titch! Oh no! Are you afraid? What? Did something frighten you?
Yes.
What? What was it?
I wasn't expecting you to be there. I was expecting you to be out there.
Oh, well, you were taking a while to answer the door, so I thought you must be busy, so I decided to just kind of go around the back. Did you know that it's very easy to come in through your windows? You should probably do something about that. Just to say, I mean, I came in very easily, and I'm sure that you wouldn't want someone else to come in very easily. I know that you're fine with me coming in because we're friends.
So I thought I had done something about that when I closed them and locked them, but apparently that's not enough.
Well, were they locked? I honestly couldn't tell. Well, anyway, hello. I came because I was wondering if I could ask your help with something.
Is it criminal?
No! What? I'm sorry, I'm the one laughing here, and she's not laughing.
No.
I'm just corpsing.
No, what?
No. What is it? Is it criminal? Coriander's eyes go wide eyes. Criminal? Of course not. No, do you remember the staff, the bull roarer staff that we that we took, that we found, and that we got back with Bilbo? Well, I've been listening to it, and I was just there are some things about it that I feel like it's trying to tell me, and usually when I listen to an object, it's very simple to know what it wants. This one, though, feels more complicated, and I felt very strongly that what it wanted was to be brought to you, a person who knows a great deal about weapons and fighting and battles and things like that, and that perhaps together we could just sit and have a conversation with it, and maybe we might learn something. I feel like it wants to be learned from. I feel like, did you ever have someone in your life who was older and wiser, and sometimes they would sit by the fire, and just something about the way that they sat and made you really want to sit and listen to them tell stories? Did you ever have that?
While this is going on, he's sort of, as though he's trying to stay as far away from her as possible, is kind of reaching and grabs his plate of chicken and pulls it over closer to him, and is just picking up tiny pieces of chicken and eating while he's listening to him talk. And you just gotta nod to the question.
Well, I feel like this staff is kind of like that. I feel like what I want, and she, like, as she talks about this, like, you're used to Coriander's affect of just like hummingbird rapidity, but when she talks about this, she does actually get kind of quiet and serious and almost solemn and a little bit reverent. Like, she's very, very serious about this. There is something that she wants to understand here, and it introduces a quality of slowness to her that is very unusual and very strange, but it's part of her whole deal. So she's looking at it for a moment. When she looks at it as she says that, it's almost like, despite having broken into Titch's home, she has forgotten that he's across from her. There's just something totally absorbing about the way that she looks at it.
This is probably, amazingly enough, this is probably the first time that he notices that she has it with her.
And I'm also going to put it up, by the way, since Taria has left for the moment. I'm going to put that up right there, so you can actually see that on stream.
It was on her lap below the level of the table, and at some point it just, without really her putting it there, it just sort of appears on the table.
And so, looking at it, he sets his plate back down, takes a long sip of what is beer. Does Bilbo know you have this with you?
Oh, yes, he does. I mean, he must have inferred it from the fact that it was no longer where it was. I left him a note!
In my head.
No, I absolutely wrote a note.
Smash cut to Bilbo looking up at an empty space on the wall where one of Lobelia's spoons is just sitting in the stand instead. Like, right? Just...
No, I actually wrote a letter to him. See, it's right here.
Right. Dear Bilbo, back soon.
I think she would actually have written him a note. But it would have been a note that said something like, Dear Uncle Bilbo, don't worry, it's with me. Signed, Coriander. That's about the extent of information she would give about it.
That would be the sort of thing, the moment...
But yes, she would have put the spoons there. She absolutely would have. P.S. Found these, think they're yours, they want to be here, and it's all the spoons that he has suspected Lobelia of stealing, except for one.
But I love the idea that the stand that I'm showing you there, right, because you just have the club, like you put like one spoon in like one of the hooks and like a second spoon in the second hook. So it's like trying to balance them somehow as if they belong in this rack, you know?
Oh, now I'm looking at the rack. No, I think she would have made 2 bundles.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Like bundles of the spoons.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's true. You do have a lot of them. That's fair enough.
Yeah. Lobelia Sackville Baggins is a terrible, remover of spoons. She clearly had so many.
So this is what we call theft.
What? No, what?
Did he give you permission to take that?
We brought it to him. It's part of the family. It's just it's a family heirloom. And I'm bringing it back to him, but I wanted to bring it back to him with more information.
Okay, I apologize. I was incorrect. It is not theft. It is wrongful appropriation, and it is still illegal.
These are why are there so many words for normal things that are mean? That sounds awful. That sounds like an awful thing.
And don't do it.
I would never do something illegal. That's a bad word. I don't like that word. All I'm doing is acquiring more information about this object, which I cannot do without the object, and we were part of bringing it to Bilbo in the first place. I feel like it belongs to all of us. In fact, and she, here again, like, the patter really slows for a second, and like she kind of leans her head towards it a little bit and strokes it gently and says,
And he's like,
it really likes belonging to all of us. It really does. She is so serious. Like, you cannot even imagine how, like, the shift, the immediate shift from, like, that's awful to, like, no, really. No, it really wants to belong to all of us. Like, I
am going to trust that you're going to take it back.
Of course. It doesn't want to be just mine.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
So
it's
what-
very heavy.
Well, yes. So why did you bring it to me?
Well, you're the only person I know who knows weapons. And this is a weapon. And and you've been in, I think, you've never really talked about it. I think you've been in fights. And I feel like you've probably seen some action. And because of that, I feel like there are just things that it says that you might understand better than I do.
You feel that I've probably been in fights, that I've seen some action. You do remember that we killed a troll together not too long ago, right? It was
Like, her eyes light up. And she's like, does that count? Does that count as a fight? But we didn't really fight the troll. We just tricked it.
I stabbed him a few times.
Well, you see, again, you were in a fight. I just, I tied some handkerchiefs together and tripped it. That's not fighting. That's just that. I don't even know what that is.
And in the like vein, you wrongfully appropriated a golf club, and I'm just an innocent bystander that you happen to break into their house and bring it with you. All right, what is the deal with this thing? I figure the sooner I help you, the sooner you can get it out of here.
Oh, I guess.
Not that you can get out of it, the sooner you can get it out of here.
Yes, that's true. I mean, it is. It's like the sun sets.
Exactly.
Like,
So
she looks out and she's like suddenly her cheeks go, like, she flushes very crimson, like she's way too shy all of a sudden. She totally had assumed he would invite her to stay the night, but if he's not doing that, then she's not gonna ask, and she gets very quiet and goes, oh, okay, yes, well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, so if we just do this, then I'll start the. How long does it take to walk back to
from
Hobbiton?
Bray to Hobbiton.
Yeah. I'm imagining
It's
she
got to be
walked
about
all-
a day. It's got to be about a day at least.
13 months to the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm imagining she like literally set out at like the crack of dawn to get there by dusk.
Yeah.
And is like, so her face falls and she's like, oh, okay, okay, we can. I'll just go back to Hobbiton. as soon as we're done. Okay. I'll find a lantern maybe, and then and maybe I'll sleep under the stars. That'll be all right. Never done that before.
It can be fun.
Yeah. Okay.
So the club itself, as the two of you work this out before Coriander is totally of her own free will departs on her own, is now you both had heard, of course, some of the history of this club, and it's legendary, of course, Coriander and Among the Hobbits, the idea that this was used to win the Battle of Greenfields, and this is what Bull Roarer knocked off the Goblin Warrior Gulfimble, and when it's sailing into Far Off Hole and created the game Golf and all that stuff. The other stuff you hadn't noticed, though, was, first of all, the size of it, the weight of it, and also, if you look, you can see some darkened spots. You like to imagine that maybe on the head of that hammer, or the head of the club, that there are some darkened spots maybe where, like, goblin blood might even have been there when Bull Roarer had used it. There are definitely lots of notches and little bumps and little chips taken out of the head of this thing. This has obviously been swung in anger, as they say, multiple times. And as you look further, you can also see that there are parts of it that are just sort of so impressive that, like, you like, parts of it, like, the weight seems extremely well balanced, I guess is what I would say, despite the weight that it possesses. So, you learn a couple of things about this club mechanically. This is a great club, and it has a great club. It's such a great club, but it is a great club. But also,
who's a good club? You're a good club.
You're a good club. Okay. But also, there's two other functions as well. Okay. This has the trait of Grievous. So there's a Grievous sort of quality to it. And let me find the specific definition. And let me turn off the incredibly loud music that just popped in. There we go. That's more like it. I want to have it on, but quieter. Okay. So, Grievous.
Isn't he the one with, like, the 4 lightsabers?
Yeah. I was wondering about I was wondering a little bit about the impact of General Grievous on all of this.
Trying to guess what? It's thunderstorming.
Excellent.
Is it tornadoing?
No.
Oh,
that's good.
See, if it were, I'd be standing out there on that gable, just watching the tornado come in and just screaming with glee. Hi!
Hi. Good to see you.
It's been the rain was falling down in sheets.
All right, so the two qualities which I'm trying to track down are this is why. 2 rewards that it possesses. Fell and Grievous are the 2 rewards. It also grants +1 to attack and damage rolls made with it. So it's a +1 attack and damage, but also Fell and Grievous rewards. So
wait a minute, that sounds like it's doubling up. Doesn't one of those 2 automatically give you +1/+1?
Right. So the Fell means that a critical hit from this weapon is more dangerous. So when you score a critical hit with this weapon, you can roll 2 additional weapon damage dice and add them to the extra damage. So when you critically hit with this club, like, it's serious issues. And you're right, because Grievous, actually, that's true. It did double dip in the description. Grievous just means you get a +1 to damage rolls made with it. They should have just said +1 to attack in addition. So the Grievous is +1 to damage. The fell is what I just described. On a critical hit, you do max damage and then a 2 additional weapon damage dice. So there's that, and +1 to attack is the grievous part. +1 to damage is grievous. Fell is what I described with the critical hits, and it also has +1 to attack. That's not fell or grievous. That's just cool.
Cool.
That's the cool feature. It has
+1
fell, cool, +1,
cool,
fell,
and grievous.
Exactly.
There we go.
Right.
So there you go. The biggest issue, though, is that it's a club, and there's not a lot of people spend a lot of time specializing in clubs, but it's certainly possible that it could be done. But the thing that's also striking is, despite these notches and these bumps and everything, that it has maintained the hardness of the wood, that the material itself feels both, like the hilt, right, is well worn, like the shaft of it is well worn and easy to hold on to. Basically, it's been used many times, as we've said, but also that the wood itself seems just like brutally hard. If you've ever actually tried to, if anyone's ever seen like a real honest to god cherry wood table, like that is not, like, oh, an oak table, or, no, a cherry wood table, you will like seriously damage someone if you were to somehow be able to hit someone with a table leg, say, made out of cherry wood. It's a very hard, strong, durable, resilient kind of wood. And so this club has all of those features, and does not seem to have lost those with the diminishing of time. So it is a significant weapon. It should be said that it's surprising a little bit that it has not been found before, unless the fact that it was just in this house by itself, sort of sitting on top of this forgotten area in the Shire, is one reason that was the case. That sometimes forgotten things take a long time to be found and unforgotten, but eventually they are that way. So.
Aw. So, I think that this might be the first time, unless there's stuff built. Even then, I feel like Coriander has probably played with like stuff in Bilbo's house before from his dragon hoard and things like that. And so I think that partly from that, she's not. She doesn't have like gold greed, like there's just stuff that's in her uncle's house and whatever, wealth, riches, whatever. But I think this might be the first time that she has encountered a magical thing, which is part of why she's like driven to walk a whole day to talk to somebody who might be able to tell her more about it. And so she kind of just like, one of the things that she'll say while they're kind of, I don't know, exploring it together and stuff, I think one of the ways is that she'll just sometimes like lapse into quiet, and at some point she will say, "This is unlike any object I've ever held in my hands before. There's just something about it that's different. It's like an old song. It's like an old song that you hear it and you feel like you've heard it before, even if it's the first time you've heard it, and it feels like you've not only heard it before, but like you've heard it many times in different ways and different places. And when you hear it, it takes you to other places that you can't remember having been in, but some part of you does. That's what it's like."
I find that regardless of the language or the culture that it comes from, truth is truth. Old songs are like that. They carry a truth to them that some modern tales that are just written to be silly or something, the ones that cling to you, not the ones that just you hold on to, but that they hold on to you as well. Those are songs that carry truth.
Coriander like goes from being solemn to just kind of like smiling really really warmly and thoughtfully. He goes, I like that. I like that. That sounds right. Thank you for helping with this.
Glad to do so.
I brought you a present.
Please tell me it's not this club.
No! I don't.
And now it's yours. Ah!
No, she,
Receiving stolen property, eh, Titch? No, I'm not doing it.
Like literally you pick it up and they break through the walls like 75 sheriffs and everything like, ah!
she, she, pulls, she like rummages a little bit. She's got like a little satchel of stuff that she rummages around in it. And she pulls out, honestly, what is like a gigantic, beautiful ribbon with a spoon attached. Like, it's like a vast disproportion between these things. It is very obvious that this spoon is a gift. And it's like, it's a very, let me think about this actually. It's a very plain looking spoon. But it is very good quality. It is like, it's not decorative, it's very functional, but it does have like a high, it's a silver spoon. But it's sort of unfussy and no nonsense. And basically it's literally like if Titch were a spoon, he would be this spoon. And she just kind of offers it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Coriander, I appreciate it very much.
I wanted to be with you, and I wanted you to have it.
And he puts it on a shelf, kind of back towards, there's like an empty space on the shelf where his tankard would normally be. And so he kind of puts it there so that it's back enough that it's standing up, leaning against the wall, where it seems a little bit more displayed.
Oh. Well, I guess I should probably be going. We've got a long walk home, so.
That's true.
Thank you for your help.
You're welcome.
And she starts to wrap the club up. She also looks very tired. She looks very droopy and very sleepy. She sorry, I'm laughing so hard. And she once the club is all wrapped up, she hefts it onto her back again. It's so laughably big for her. It's truly ridiculous that she was able to get it here at all. And she starts to kind of slowly trudge towards the door.
She'll grow into it. It'll be fun. And so he goes and he opens the door.
It's raining outside.
It probably is. Yep.
Mud is outside.
A tornado in the distance.
Yeah, tornado.
Some fat dude with a half-eaten carrot belching right outside the door.
Nazgul literally on top of the mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll well, she'll, you know, as she stares out into the rain, lightning forks across the sky, illuminating the rain. She just kind of says, with her back to Titch, I really don't want to go out in that. And it's like, and the thing that she says, the thing about this is that she's like saying this, that just I want to make apparent, if in case, like, this is the kind of thing that if it were on the page, I think would be more obvious than it is as I say it. But she says it in the same way that she talks about objects and what they do want and what they don't want and stuff. And so, you know, she's and yeah, she's not, what I want to make clear is, like, she is not asking to stay, but in the same way that obviously an object won't ask a thing, but she is saying, as she kind of like stands on the threshold and stares at the rain, she's like, I don't want to go out in that. And she'll like take a beat And if Titch says nothing, she'll just start walking out into it.
He just kind of starts closing the door. She heads out into the rain, closes it and stops. Turns back towards the table and is like, opens the door.
Where Coriander has not moved at all, but it's just literally standing there in the same spot.
I was gonna, yeah, she took like one step forward, and she, like, you know, it was sunny when she set out, and she doesn't have a cloak. She's just, so like her long dark hair is sodden, like she has just stepped far enough to get thoroughly soaked, and she's very miserable, but anyway, her back is still to the door though, and she's sort of psyching herself up.
All right, fine.
And she just turns around like, what, Titch? What do you mean?
Get in here.
And she's so happy. She runs to him and she throws her arms around him. And she's like, thank you, Titch. Thank you. I really, really, really didn't want to walk home in that. Thank you so much. I didn't think about how long it took to get here, but I just want to talk to you. And then she
It's like looking for something to put between them to pry him apart.
Anyways, and then she goes inside and she will like find a corner to curl up in or something and fall asleep very quickly.
No. He's like, no. Get at least a little bit cleaned up and sleep on the bed. I'll sleep in the chair and be fine.
No, I'm smaller. I can
Get
sleep.
the bed or outside. The bed or Hobbiton. Pick one.
Okay. She goes up and goes to bed.
I love the idea that as we do that, just as the camera pulls back, we get a cut to the home of the Sackville Bagginses with Abelia going, "Although, do you know what happened to my best spoon?" And then like cutting in on the spoon that she gave the Titch, just the camera focusing in with the letters LSB on, down the down the top of the spoon.
Yes!
That is where we would bring the fellowship phase to a close.
I told you she gave all of them but one.
Yep, that's right. No, this was the one. When you were like, this wanted to be with you. Very, very fun stuff. And very lovely. And it was speedy enough that we were able to get this done and get us set up so that we will, with the next session beginning with Most Excellent Fireworks, which will be up next. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And I think we got some good stuff, not just from the sort of magical elements of that club. Obviously, there was some fun role play there, but some opportunities for some mechanical benefits that came out of that too. Plus, everybody getting some leveled up, work too. So I think it'll have us nicely set up. Plus, you all, now that you have 7,000 fellowship, points, I could just up the ante of all the difficulty level of everything, because clearly now, I mean, there's no problems at all. Like, perhaps their worst enemy would be this thing. I'm like, how about an entire 5 divisions of orcs now that they have 70 million fellowship bases? Anyway, it's just, and now you got Bull Roar's Club, and it's all good. I'll start
now we have to face 2 owls.
Yeah, exactly. Hoo. Yeah, just double who. I'll start with you, Trent. How'd you feel about today? I loved, by the way, obviously the role play was great with you and Coriander, and I was really wondering whether you were just going to be like, all right, sounds good, and then just like literally like Coriander trudging through the mud for the next like 12 hours, or if you were going to turn around and make something else out of it. And the whole like wrongful appropriation was funny also. How did you feel about today's session? Where will the folks find you next?
Well, if Amal will now read the message that I left for her in the Zoom chat, she'll see what I had thought would be really funny for the thing.
Oh my god! It's so true. Okay, so I did not read. I was very focused. So
yep.
I figure that right after she leaves and closes the door, Titch feels guilty and opens the door and says, "All right, you can stay," but he's already gone. When he closes the door to go back inside, she's already curling up in his bed, having known that he would change.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
I love that so much. I was on a wavelength. I was very nearly going to have her do that. I just couldn't. It felt like it was a really important moment for her to not take that liberty, was the only thing. She absolutely would have gone home. She would have probably she might have snuck into someone else's house Like that was, she might have like, she would have like sussed out somebody else who had
Bill
like
Fernie's.
a bed or found like
Yeah.
an empty place. She would have found a place to stay the night and then head out. But she really wanted to be asked in at that point. So that's that, and because like she wanted Titch to, well, I don't actually know that she wanted this, but it felt important to say, like, this is how she feels about objects. It's like, when she looks at objects, it's like she sees some of them standing out in the rain unhappy and wants to, like, make them happier and stuff. And that's how she sees the world. It is not like manipulative or malicious. It is just like a common sense thing. So, but yeah. But thank you. So anyways, I love that.
Yeah, and we still got, you know, some of the funny bit with her being like, receive on the vote. No, bed or Hobbiton. Bed or Hobbiton.
The better Hobbiton is a good line. Yeah.
It's very good.
I was glad that came in right as I was like, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? Got it. Okay. And it's just like, sometimes improvisation is down to the wire. It's like, oh, I gotta think of something. Where will people see me next? Probably here, I imagine. It's the only place people ever see me now. So, because I've pretty much left Twitter altogether. So, I'm just out there on Blue Sky, and like, damn it, I can't use animated GIFs.
Yeah, I know they got to get on that. Well,
how am I going to live
first,
my life?
get all the safety tools in place first, and then next deal with animated GIFs.
Right. Yeah.
That order, please.
Yeah. Let's see. Like I said earlier, the TechLit thing is over. I'm in the process of audio proofing Hour of the Wolf, one of the BattleTech books that Lisa and I have been working on for like 7 months. Just back and forth craziness trying to get it all done, and then I've got like 7 or 8 audiobooks for Catalyst that I have to do, and then I don't know, there's some guy probably wants me to do another book somewhere.
You mean that something that might be like, oh, well, sorry, I didn't. Apologies.
You almost spit something on the monitor
Yeah.
there.
It was true. I accidentally just just kind of jumped that out. Yes,
Yeah,
there may be an audiobook coming that
This is
might
why
be
you cover your mouth when you publish a book. Yeah, that's all I can think of, really. Gen Con is in what, 2 weeks?
2.5, I guess. It's it'll start 2 weeks from this Thursday. So hard to believe.
I won't be there.
I know.
So don't look for me there.
I know. Yep. I know. Someday. But always a pleasure, Trent. Thanks
Have you
for having me
been,
back
Trent, to Gen Con?
No. I've very few cons that I've ever gone to. Just a couple of furry cons, a couple of just basic sci-fi cons in like Texas and stuff. But I don't go to cons very often. I feel very out of my depth when I'm there. Like I don't know anybody. Even when I'm hanging out with my friends, I'm just looking around at everybody outside of our group, and I'm like, I have no idea why I'm here.
Yeah.
Someday.
That's fun.
Yeah, exactly. We will change that opinion sometime when you're hanging out with all of us. But always a pleasure, Trent. You can find Tari's work, as we've said, on many different places. Tari is now blissfully asleep and played Granny Lavender Hope Singer. We hope so.
If she's been having trouble.
That's true. Yeah. Getting to sleep has been part of the issue where she's so exhausted today. But hopefully. And Tari is also going to be the source of the Shire Adventures shirt that is going to be coming, or the logo, or the stuff that's going to be put on the shirt. That's going to be as soon as she gets her PC back. Also, 9 new emotes on the way, which look amazing as soon as she gets her damn PC back. So she's just as frustrated as anybody else. So they are on the way. So definitely you should stick around.
See, those are Arvin E, shut up. Arvin E, screw this. Arvin E, to hell with you.
Arvin E, damn it. Arvin E. No, there are some ones that we didn't. One of the ones that I think I showed was there's an Arvin E sing. So that whenever I or anybody else sings, you've got now literally a little Fifi icon with the bird singing. It's very cute in Tari's classic style. So you can find that there. Also, we had tonight, of course, Brad. Again, really fun stuff with Cal. I had figured you might be all over the map thing. All over the map is in not all over the map, but all over wanting to do the stuff with the map with this. And the messenger thing is going to be, I think, important for the the pathfinding that happens even within this, I'm often struck. I was on a panel at ReaderCon this past weekend, which was really good, by the way. I was on a panel about cities and about proximity to power than urban centers. And one of the things that came up during that panel is how a lot of, the classic, you can grow up, you can be born, live, and grow up in a big city like New York City and never leave like a 20-block radius, right? Because you have everything you want within that 20-block radius. So if you live in a particular spot in the Bronx, you don't really know Brooklyn, you don't necessarily know, you sure as hell don't know Staten Island, right? Like there are areas that you're not going to know. And so that struck me a little bit when we were looking at the map and we were talking about the things that you found from it was, in the Shire, where you're going to be doing a lot of your adventuring, even there are pathways, and the fact that the Shire is it's not like it just was created by the hobbits, that it existed before that, right? So there were all these other elements that can come into play, which Cal might be particularly well suited to be able to take advantage of. And so it was fun, I thought, to be able to see Cal doing a little bit of that, because we'll get more of the map stuff coming through. If not an expert, most excellent fireworks, then definitely the ones following it. So there'll be more map stuff coming up with that too. So how did you feel today about things about the Fellowship phase and the like, and where will the lovely folks see you next, Brad?
Yeah, I like the Fellowship phase. I think it's a really fun mechanic and a nice breather, between finishing up an adventure or two and like kind of setting your sights on something new, perhaps. Maybe you don't know exactly what's coming ahead, but you probably get a general sense of it, you know. And so it's I found it fun when I was introduced to it in the last set of adventures, and I like this one as well. And it's I like maps just personally, so it's kind of fun to play Cal because he's so interested in it. And I always like this notion of like the map is not the territory, right? The map is a representation of a place, and symbolizes certain things. And it's so neat to like sort of, see the truth, see what's different and see what is true about it, how that map and some of those symbols came to be. So that was just fun and plus the whole sequence in Lord of the Rings where they go through the old forest is just one of my favorite parts of that whole saga and stuff. So it was kind of neat to go there for a little bit too. So that was a ton of fun. So coming up, Gen Con is right around the corner, so I'm looking forward to it, looking forward to catching up with you, other people there, doing if anybody is going to Gen Con, check just look for Bollier, my last name, in the event guide, and you can do that with any author, by the way, and find their particular events, and you can sign up through them. I have a bunch of writing seminars, and you can sign up for those, and their tickets are going kind of fast, so grab them if you're going and want to get some of that stuff there. So I'll be there, and then looking forward to the next adventure, probably in August sometime.
Yeah, that's the plan. Thank you, Brad. And yes, I would concur with that. You can find any of us there by doing any of us who are going with the last names. If you type mine in, I probably am the only Wilson in the symposium, as far as I know. But if you type that in the bottom, you'll see that I have 2 workshops myself and some panels and a D&D event that I'll be doing live in front of an audience there too. So people should definitely check that out with a group of people that we did last time and a couple of new folks that are joining on board as well. Brandon O'Brien's going to be in that, Karen Menzel, Richard Lee Byers is going to be doing that, Ginny Koch, and Emily Bell is going to be doing that too. So that should be good times. Thank you, Brad. Always a pleasure. Last but not least, Amal, really fun stuff from Coriander as well. I liked that little bit of subtle growth that we get from Coriander about not necessarily doing quite exactly what everyone would expect, but this sense of one of the things I think the Lord of the Rings books do so well is the gradual widening of scope. It's one of the reasons that I think I understand the argument about like, oh, it's so slow, it's 90 pages in the Shire. As I've always argued, one, you have to show people what you're fighting for. That's why you can't just be like, okay, and then there was this beautiful green place and leave it in 2 pages. But also because it allows you then to open up the scope and broaden out for these hobbits, because they are for much of the early portions of the book, they are our POV characters, right? To broaden out what it is that they see. And so I like the idea that Coriander is doing a bit of that as well, even if it's just this magical item that was wielded by a very famous hobbit and a relative. The point is still, it's a magical thing, like she said, that has never been seen before, that she had never like held on to or sort of felt anything before. And that, and then getting the chance to sort of connect with Titch in a different way was also really a lot of fun too. So I think it sets us up nicely for the slight growth of Coriander in terms of how she perceives things. That was fun. How did you feel about today's what did you think about the fellowship phase as a phase, and where will the fine folks find you next?
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a very different. I haven't really thought about this very much, but like the fellowship phase feels very different than it did previously, and I like it. It's fine. I'm not used to it, so it's new and interesting. I think partly what feels different is because we are in a much more lighthearted game, and so that feeling of just like crawling our way towards
thank God.
Phase and the attempt at like healing Shadow, which we might not even manage to heal and stuff like that, is absent from it. So it's a lot more just like it felt chill in a way that I found interesting, and also because we're still so close to character creation in some ways. Like this was like the first time that I was able to correct problems that I knew were in Coriander's sheet from when we started.
Sure.
A lot of that is just like, you know, it's fun to lean into the just the dynamics more than the sheet anyway. So I was kind of glad of that. So yeah, no, it's cool. And I really loved getting to like I like this mechanic of deciding on the thing and role playing the thing. I think that's quite cool, and I loved the getting to do this with Titch. I also like the thought, which hadn't occurred to me until right now, that like having figured out and like felt the magic of the staff of the club, rather, I keep saying staff of the club, might have like catalyzed a sense of like, oh, maybe I really need some, like, I don't know, the solemnity of hospitality and like just kind of thing. But like I think Coriander's very good at taking for granted that, you know, someone who she wants to be friends with will be friends with her, and sensing when that will be the case. But I think that having shared something very special there made her want to like be sure of it. So there's that too. So yeah, it was really, I thought it was delightful. It was really good fun, and I'm very excited to see where the map stuff takes us also. Yeah, it's great. It's very fun. Where people can find me next, I in fact am going to be having like I'm taking part in a bookstore event on behalf of one of my former students, Ashley Dang. I should say, who's like author Ashley Dang, who also happens to be a former student of mine, is launching her first novella at Perfect Books in Ottawa at 6:30 p.m. on August 1st. And Suyi Davies Okungbawa and I are going to be in conversation with Ashley. And it's also the day that the Book of Witches comes out, edited by Jonathan Strawn. So they're going to have those in. So it's like the first time that I think the first time that I'm doing a bookstore event post Panini. And it is to support Ashley's book. But also it literally occurred to me after we made this event happen that there will be a book that has a story of mine in it that will be coming out the same day. If you happen to be in the vicinity of Ottawa and you want to swing by and get something signed or inscribed, please by all means do. Yeah, that'll be August 1st, 6:30 p.m. Perfect Books. I'll drop a link into the chat. Other than that, I'm just be entertaining many guests in the next while, but yeah, that's basically it. Next thing after that will be CanCon.
Yay!
So, are you gonna come to CanCon?
Yes, I'm gonna be at CanCon. Yeah.
Hey, hooray!
So it'll be good to see you.
Yes.
Yeah, CanCon, which is where I asked Mel to be part of this a long time ago, many years ago.
Oh, maybe you asked me, but that wasn't when I said yes.
No, it wasn't. It was I started slow.
Much longer after several email reminders.
That's right. That's right.
Where's CanCon this year?
Yeah.
CanCon is in Ottawa. It's always in Ottawa. Marie Bilodeau is the chair of that.
Okay.
And I love CanCon. Actually, I always have. And there's, besides the Amal, there's also Derek Kunskin and Brandon Crilly, and there's like a bunch of folks. I like Canada anyway, and I just it's a really good feel. The panels are very interesting. It's good audiences. It's a nice overall feel to things.
It's also a very small con. Like I
Right.
would say, Tren, if you ever feel like at sea and cons and stuff, besides the fact that I would love to see you, I think it's a really.
You're the only one that's met me.
That's true,
So,
actually.
We met in San Francisco for your reading.
I remember. I know that we've met. I'm shocked that nobody else has met you.
Because different coasts, and I haven't. Yeah, like that's part of the plan. It's in the plan. Obviously, I haven't met Tari, and I haven't met Tren in person. But Tari's in Germany. I understand that takes a little longer. Brad has even met Tari.
No, she's not.
More people
She's in the
here.
Netherlands.
Well, now she's in the Netherlands. I'm sorry. Was in Germany, Netherlands. Yes.
Wait. Has she moved permanently to the Netherlands?
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Yep.
Oh.
That's where she owns her house.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought she owned the house in Germany. Well, I am shocked to learn that I have met more people in person in this group than any of you have. None of you have met each other more than I have met, because I've met Brad and Greg and Tren. I haven't met Tari, but
And I have met you and Brad. That's right, because I haven't met Tari or Tren. Yeah, that's right.
I win a game that none of us are playing.
None of us knew we were playing, and now
It's to replace Blazeball.
Oh,
yeah.
I've got to do it somehow, y'all.
Oh man.
No, but seriously, so CanCon, wonderful. It's in October. It's a very small con. Like at its maximum pre-pandemic, there were 300 people. I expect more in the 150 ballpark. Currently, it might be bigger this year just because.
I think they're expecting above 200 now, but yeah.
So it's I wasn't able to make it last year when they had it in person again for the first time post Panini, but I am a special guest this year, and my very dear friend CSE Cooney will also be coming to it.
Oh, I forgot Claire's going to that. That's cool. Yeah.
I wish Carlos were, but I don't think he is. And a bunch of cool people will be there. It's very chill, very nice. So yeah, that's about it.
Good stuff. Thank you, everybody. Always a pleasure to do this campaign. It was a very chill, kind of in a nice way. Chat, can we get some love for the amazing players today? Thank you so much to Amal, Elmatar, to Brad Bullier, to Tari Toons, who's now asleep, I hope, and to Tren Sparks. Always a pleasure. Thank you, players, and we will see you back here very soon. Bye for now. And I'm going to post the stuff I put in Zoom chat in the Discord chat in just a minute, so it will not be lost forever, the things we were talking about. Okay. Bye, players.
Bye.
Thank you so much for the cheer, Dragon. Thank you, everybody. Okay, and that, I guess I can get rid of the Bull Roar Club, is going to do it for us for today. That was awesome. I had a great time with these folks, and it is, as I say, it is a shorter campaign, and I have some ideas about the way in which that campaign will probably, how it will come to an end, or how we're going to sort of, how we'll wrap it up and what would come afterwards and all that kind of stuff. But the fact that we're already halfway through, basically, and maybe like 45%, but we've only been playing since like early February. That means we've gone pretty quickly. We've made it a pretty good pace, and that's just been a function of good play by the players and by the nature of the campaign itself. So it's been a good time, and I hope that you folks enjoyed it. I will be done now until Friday, but on Friday we will be back. Friday night, I will be back with D&D with viewers. Now, you may remember that I was unable to get ARVBot working when I was on the road. Something was not working with the function of it, and the problem with that is that it had all of our character info, so I couldn't just be like, oh, we'll just do it in chat. The hell with it, we're doing it live. I couldn't do that. So instead, I will say that we will be able to do that on Friday instead, when I will have my home set up. So it'll be Friday night, starting between 8:30 and 9 p.m. Eastern. So that'll be Friday. And then on Saturday, in the park, I think it was the 4th of July. give me just 1 second. Saturday is going to be, yes, Eberron. I should know that. D&D with Infinity and Beyond Eberron is going to be happening on Saturday night. So that'll be a good time. Then next Tuesday, we will have this, and I do want to put this up right now, which is the Patreon Fueled Chat Chosen Game of the Month. And that, chat, is where you can vote on that game. The 3 games up this time are either Die by the Sword, Star Control 2, or Late Shift. So please get in your votes right now for which you would like me to play. Late Shift, Die by the Sword, or Star Control 2. Die by the Sword is kind of an action role-playing game, an old sort of a retro action role-playing game. Star Control 2 is a strategy game. Our very own Prince Justin has been a big fan of wanting me to try to play that, so there's that. And then Late Shift is, I don't remember... Let me just double check quickly. Oh, yes, that's right. Late Shift is a high-stakes FMV thriller. Thank you, Mrs. Dunsel. 56 months of support. Thank you. Very kind of you. Thank you so much for all the subs and resubs. This is the FMV adventure game. Yes, I forgot about that. The FMV adventure game that is into a brutal London heist, and which, according to Dragonspear, who was the one who nominated this, can be gotten through in a session. So it is well suited for the Patreon fueled thing. So you can check this. So you can vote right now. That link that I just put in there is where you should vote. Right now, we have 2 votes for Late Shift. We have 1 vote for Die by the Sword. 2 votes each for Star Control 2 and Late Shift, and 1 vote for Die by the Sword. So get your votes in, because as in the next minute or two when we wrap up, that is going to be the final vote, and then that will be the thing that I play next Tuesday. So that's going to be happening next Tuesday, is that. And then we'll be playing some D&D with GOG, Ghosts of Saltmarsh, because we have rescheduled it from our last week, where we couldn't do it because one of our players was not feeling well, so we decided to reschedule. So we'll be doing that this next Tuesday of the 25th. And then a week from this Friday, the 28th, is Expedition for the Mysterious Peaks. And on Saturday, the 29th, we have the very special stream of Renegade. This is the Renegade book release. It's technically releasing in 1 week, and we'll be talking quite a bit about it on that Tuesday. But then Saturday, the 29th, is when we will have the in-person release. I will be talking about this book. I'll be doing a reading from it. I'll be doing a Q&A at BlackRock Books, and you will be able to see it as well live streamed. I'm going to be putting this up live streamed as well on my channel. So we're hoping for a good turnout. It's going to be also featured on the local news station, News 12. It's going to be featuring this. I'm going to be doing that interview this Saturday, actually, and then they're going to be running that. So we hope we'll get a lot of people there. It's a really cool bookstore that's just opened within the last month. And obviously, I'm very proud of this book, which is the sequel to the award-winning Gray Shade. And you can pre-order that book, by the way, with exclamation point Gray Shade. You can get Gray Shade right now, and you can pre-order Renegade, which is coming out next week, and Heretic, which is coming out next year, and the tabletop role-playing game of Gray Shade from Brandon O'Brien and Alligator Rally coming out later as well, and the audiobook from Trend Spark. So you can do all that there. That's going to be happening then. And then the following Tuesday is August 1st, and that will be my last pre-Gen Con 2023 stream. And I don't know yet what I'm doing on that day, but I will figure it out. And then I'm going to be heading off to Gen Con, and I will be there basically leaving Tuesday night. I will be there Wednesday the 2nd all the way until we're going to be leaving Monday the 7th to head home. I'll probably be back on Tuesday the 8th. I don't yet know whether or not I'm going to be streaming on the 8th or not. It kind of depends. I have to decide that in the next couple of weeks. I may get a late stream in. I'm not 100% sure. We shall see. But that's going to be happening. So we shall see how that goes. So with all of that said, let's see what the final vote is. Looks like it's 3-2 to 1 for Late Shift. So last call, everybody. Last call for the next game for the vote. Last call. You're betting I'm streaming on the 4th? Oh yeah, well I am streaming on the 4th. I haven't even started talking about Gen Con streams. Yes, I expect that I will be streaming at least once, if not twice, from Gen Con. That I think is certainly true. Definitely. Well, I want to say once, and there's a chance of a second time, but that will partially depend. And then definitely, I'm going to try to stream if I can on Tuesday the 8th for a late stream if I possibly can. If not, I might make it up for maybe sometime later in the weekend, because after that, I'm going to be basically home for a couple of weeks. We have the concert event known as Porch Fest. My band will be releasing its 4th album, so that'll be kind of an official release for that. And then we move into September and October, and I have some more details that'll be coming up as well on the subathon that we're planning to do during either September or October, which will be the first time I've ever done a subathon on this. So it's going to be cool. So with that said, it looks like the final vote is 3-2-1. The winner is going once, going twice. And the winner is Late Shift. So Late Shift is the game. That is the game that I will be playing next. I will be playing that next Tuesday. So I will be playing that next Tuesday, the Patreon Field Chat Chosen Game of the Month, Late Shift. So thank you all for voting and participating, and that's what will be happening next Tuesday. This Friday, though, we have D&D with viewers. So this Friday coming up in the evening will be D&D with viewers as we wrap up Into the Unknown. And then on Saturday, we have more D&D with INB and Eberron as Oracle of War continues to forge along as we move into the latter stages of Lord Bucket, which is the last, I think is the second to last or the last portion of Season 3 of Eberron, and get us set up to move into Season 4. We are just about halfway through that campaign as well. We've been moving at a pretty good pace there also, but just, it's longer considerably because we're going up all the way up to level 20. So Eberron is going to continue to be epic. That's going to do it for me, though, for now. I want to thank everyone for being here today. If you like what you saw and heard, please follow the channel. Check out the YouTube with !ArvTube, Discord !ArvCord, Twitter !ArvTweets, website arvineleron.com. And please remember, arvineleron.com is where you can now find the Shire Adventures podcast. That will be launching within the next couple of days. The website is already up. The Shire Adventures website, is already up. And so we are going to start launching that. And once they start, they are going to be rolling out every month because they are behind us by about 6 months or so, 5 to 6 months. So they will be rolling out regularly. So you will have Curse of Strahd, the previous Infinity and Beyond campaign wrapping up podcast-wise. And then you've got this wrapping up podcast-wise, all thanks to the sponsorship of Free League Publishing and, of course, all of you lovely folks, brought to you by all those people. So that's going to be happening over there. So definitely check that out on the website, arvineleron.com. Also check out my Blue Sky too, !ArvSky, because I am trying to build up a Blue Sky presence as well as the other place starts to, burst into flames, or does even more bursting into flames. Is there a level beyond bursting into flames? That's where it's at, I think. So that's the deal with that. On the financial side, !ArvTreon makes it possible for me to do stuff like the videos and overlays you see here. The subbing to the channel also does that and gives you those custom sub badges and emotes. So thank you to everyone for all the subs today. Thank you for the resubs. Please, immolation level. Thank you for all of that stuff. And for the Patreon support. As I say, Subathon is coming in the next few months, but please spread the word about the show. Let them know. And thank you for stopping by today and watching some awesome Shire adventures. Also, on the publishing side, as I said, !Icarus for my graphic novel from Athos Arts, !Library, Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library. That's my 5e adventure and source book from Alligator Alley Entertainment, and !Greyshade, as I just talked about. Greyshade, which you can get right now, and this book, which is coming out in just less than 2 weeks now. So now is the time to check it out. In fact, it's coming out in 1 week specifically for this. So please make sure you pre-order that and Heretic and buy Greyshade and get the audiobook by Tren and get the pre-order the tabletop role-playing game by Brandon O'Brien, etc., etc. Last but not least, as always, !BLM, Black Lives Matter. Important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. !Help Now, which is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Important to reach out to others when you need help and reach out to others when they need help as well. And !Ukraine, UKRAINE, to help the fine people of Ukraine as they fight back against an illegal and illegitimate war with bravery and courage. This is our chance to send a message, not only that we will support them, but that we will support others who deal with this kind of situation in the future. Thanks to the wonderful folks who are here. Thank you to my wonderful mods, Dragonspear, Hillness, and Triffity Mats, best in the business. Thank you to my wonderful Patreon supporters and subscribers, Dragon, Hillness, Triffid, Tilting, Wispy Song, Mrs. Dunsel. Thank you as well to my viewers. Thank you to 40 37 VRes, 7B VLET, thank you to Andali, Big Boss, thank you to Defective Automaton, to Elysian, thank you to Good Girl, Harlequin, Indy, Leoric, Nergabert, Optic Nerve, and Richard. And last thing I'll say is we are going to do a raid because it's not very late, obviously. This is the way we do this. The Arvanauts have landed, followed by Twitch raid. And then if you're sub, the Arvanauts have landed, followed by Twitch raid. Arvany Roar, Arvany Woe, Arvany Smug, Arvany Love, Arvany Blown, Arvany Witch, all of the Arvanese, which, to remind you, are going to be increased by almost double, I think, as we add another 9 emotes as soon as Tari gets her PC back functional again. We'll be putting those up. So more emotes on the way. Yet another reason that you should subscribe and support the channel in that way. Special thanks today to Free League Publishing for sponsoring Shire Adventures, and to my wonderful players, to Amal Almatar, to Brad Bollier, to Trend Sparks, and to Tari Tunes. Great work from all of them, and I can't wait for more Shire Adventures coming soon. I'll see you folks Friday for D&D with viewers. Stick around for the raid, and thanks everyone. Much love, and I'll see you folks soon. Be good to each other. Bye for now.